Wow, look at trying to steal my hay now every time. Okay.
What?
Look at this guy. What
Look,
a
it's a new
thief.
year.
What a thief.
It's a new
Okay.
year. I'm every day. I'm gonna see how long I can go. What is this, day 3? We
I'm
got
gonna
you
have to I'm
3
gonna
fucking times already, bitch.
Okay, okay. You know what? Now war has been declared. Okay. We're gonna try to one up each other now for
I
the
shouldn't have
intros.
I shouldn't have said anything because
Yeah,
tomorrow
you
you're gonna
shouldn't
be
have.
like strategic button clicking. So what are we
Exactly.
talking about? Enough of me stealing your intro.
Today okay, so I guess we're talking about both Mark Zuckerberg got rid of all, or he wants to get rid of, or they're going to get rid of all the fact checkers on Facebook and what that entails. And there's a part of that that I haven't really heard anyone talk about, which is my theory of why that's going on. But first, you got a little scuffle with our good friends, the Vanguard boys.
The
Yes.
Vanguard Cucks, as we're calling them now.
Is that okay, what do you want to explain the situation here?
Well, they tweeted out here. Let me see. I got it up on the screen.
Hmm.
Um, Praying this man has another stroke, and they've subbed or retweeted. Fetterman has signed on to the bill as a chorus as a co-sponsor, making it bipartisan. Already with 51 total co-sponsors. So this is the bill. This is like the Laken Riley bill.
Okay.
So, which is, I think, Fetterman is kind of drifting into a more moderate position, and it's just driving everyone on the far left insane. It's funny that, I mean, I watched the debate with Fetterman. I think he went up against Dr. Oz, right? And I was like, holy shit, this is a fucking shit show. This
Hmm.
guy's literally a stroke survivor, but he got elected to Congress. So
Right.
the Vanguard boys are wishing harm on him because he supports this anti-crime bill. So
Right. So before we continue, let me just read the summary here. This is the summary of the Laken Riley Act because I had not heard of this until the situation.
until the scuffle ensued on
Yes.
Twitter.
Yes. Okay. So it says this is the summary, and then we'll go through the text. This bill requires the Department of Homeland Security to detain certain U.S. nationals, aliens under federal law, who have been arrested for burglary, theft, larceny, or shoplifting. The bill also authorizes states to sue the federal government for decisions or alleged failures related to immigration enforcement. Under this
Wow.
bill, yeah,
Okay, that's some teeth.
I wonder about that second part. So I wonder about how that's going to affect things. But under this bill, the DHS must detain an individual who is unlawfully present in the United States or do not possess the necessary documents when applying for admission and has been charged with, arrested for, convicted for, or admits to having committed acts that constitute the essential elements of burglary, theft, larceny, or shoplifting. The bill also authorizes state governments to sue for injunctive relief over certain immigration related decisions or alleged failures for the federal government if the decision or failure caused by the states or its residents harm, including financial harms of more than $100. Specifically, the state government may sue the federal government over a decision to release a non-U.S. national from custody, failure to fulfill requirements related to inspecting individuals seeking admission to the United States, including requirements related to asylum interviews, failure to fulfill requirement to stop issuing visas to nationals of a country that unreasonably denies or delays acceptance of nationals of that country, violation of limitations on immigration parole, such as requirements that parole be granted only on a case by case basis, or failure to detain an individual who has been ordered removed from the United States.
Okay.
So that's the bill. So they were very, very against this bill. I don't believe they said why they were against this bill. I guess we're all just supposed to intuit what the problem is for the bill that they don't like.
Well, they believe that crime is way down. That all the talk of crime and crime for illegal immigrants is just a right wing disinformation campaign designed to gaslight the public into a moral panic over crime in their cities and neighborhoods. But I mean, obviously, they're calling it the Laken Riley Act because Laken Riley was brutally murdered
Mm-hmm.
by an illegal immigrant that was I believe, had a rap sheet and was like released from custody multiple times. So
Right.
yeah, there's also this recent one of this guy who lit some poor woman on fire on the subway. So I mean, uh, not a good look. I don't know why anyone would be against forcing the federal government to deport these people or at least incarcerate them if they're going to be in our country committing acts of crime, especially violent crime.
Well, but see, that's what's interesting to me is like, okay, so their tweet is they're praying that Fetterman has another stroke for this bill, and as I said, what part of the bill do they not support? Because even if they make the argument as other people do, which is true, or my understanding is true, is that yes, illegal immigrants, are less likely to cause crime in the country than citizens. That has nothing to do with this bill. I mean, I would assume most people would agree that if a illegal is in America committing crimes, that they should be deported from the country. Like, who's against that concept?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's other parts of the bill, so I don't know if they have other problems with it. So it's interesting to me that
they have never looked at the bill. They've never
right.
read the bill. They have no idea what the bill is.
Well, it's interesting to me like how these political spaces operate on Twitter or X, where you kind of post something, you vague post something to your team, and as long as it's aligned with your politics, everyone's like, oh, like, yeah, I agree with this take. It's like, well,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
well, what? Okay, so do you want to continue your
The
your
back and forth.
interaction here?
So I responded, pro crime Democrats are why you lost the election, laughing emoji, because it's obviously fucking hilarious.
Right.
And then they responded, have fun licking boots. What the fuck?
Mm,
Like, what the fuck are you even on about?
right.
To which I responded, to fucking, if you're not logged in on Twitter, it totally sucks. I should just log in
You should
this
just
browser. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I responded, what boots? You are the ones who want criminals lighting people on fire. Why are you licking the boots of psychopaths?
Right.
To which there was no response, obviously, because they
Of course.
fucking don't know shit. And then we got in some back and forth because I was like, you live in fucking Kansas. And somebody, look, I'm not actually sure where they live. I just know it's like fucking small town America. Look, and that might not be correct. They might live in a big city, but in a small state. But then somebody chimed in, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but they were like, they live in Missouri. I was like, holy shit, Missouri. Oh, God. And I looked up the population of Missouri, and it's like 6 million.
Was it Missouri or Minnesota?
Was it? Oh.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I have no clue where they live.
I think it was Missouri, but it might have been Minnesota. I mean, I looked it up, but obviously I didn't store it in my long-term memory because I don't give a fuck where these guys live. But if they live in Missouri, it is one, like, there's 25 million people in Southern California. So talk to me when you got a real crime problem. But look, they also, somebody also said they live in Kansas City. So who knows where Missouri? They live? Okay, that is in Missouri then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, so I don't know these flyover states.
Yeah. But then they, exactly. We are the coastal elites everyone has warned you about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then they posted something else that you responded to about, I guess they're saying we have a bunch of crime in our state.
Well, first of all, they got really mad at you for saying they live in Kansas. They got super ultra triggered by that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. But then they tweeted. It's funny because like also who was in that thread was Unimodia.
Yeah.
Had replied, kind of
very measured response too.
Yes. Right. Which was basically just like, well, that is a big part of why.
You lost the election. Yeah.
Election, right? Just like a fact. And then, so they tweet out, not sure if either of you can read, but these are the top 5 most violent cities in America. And there's some graph. I don't know what these little bars are because they didn't post it, but it's got Memphis, Tennessee, Detroit, Michigan, Baltimore, Cleveland, and Kansas City as like the top 5 most violent cities. So does that mean if they live in Kansas City, Missouri,
live in Kansas
they
City,
live
Missouri.
in one of the top 5 most violent cities?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think they'd be in favor of, I don't know, doing something about that, right?
Well, how much of that violent crime is actually from illegal immigration, though? That's my question, right? Like
Probably not like a substantial amount of it. I don't know what
we
the immigration situation in Missouri is.
we have these home burglaries going on in Southern California, and every once in a while they apprehend the person and they find out they're here on some like tourist crime program with the gangs. Like they've literally flown in just to steal a bunch of shit,
Wow.
do a bunch of break-ins, and then they have tickets to fly out of the country. It's like, what the
Interesting.
fuck?
Because
What
that's
the
not the type of
fuck?
like, yeah. I mean, that's crazy because that's not the type of usually people were thinking like, oh, people are coming into the country to stay here and
Stay,
then doing
yeah.
crimes, not like someone is flying to the country to just do crimes and go back. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So they can get away scot-free.
That's super crazy.
And super scary. Like
It
this is
is.
why when people are talking about crime, no, it's no big deal. Crime's not a big deal. Nothing's going on. Nothing to see here. Defund the police. Let all the criminals out of prison. Close all the
Mhm.
prisons.
Right.
I'm like, whatever. So it looks it's it's funny. Um the what's the matter with Kansas comes to mind, right? What's the matter with Kansas City? Fifth
Right.
most
Right.
violent crime.
I know it's pretty bad. Yeah.
Fifth
So
most
I said,
violent crime.
well, I don't know why they're posting that. Is the implication supposed? Because again, they do like all this vague posting. Is the implication? Because what I thought they were trying to say is like, oh, these are the top violent cities, and it's not caused by immigrants because these are not cities that have high immigrant populations. That's what I assumed that they were saying. Which that's why I responded. I said, "So you're in favor of stricter laws and cracking down on crime and criminals in those cities to clean them up?" Question mark. To which there was no response. So I don't know what the fuck their opinion is. I don't know what their position is, and I believe you offered them to come on, and I don't know
I
if they
did, yeah,
responded.
yeah.
So
They're all big talk on Twitter. That's usually
right,
their game plan. But I've never seen them get in any kind of contentious argument on their channel. They usually invite people over that just want to basically bitch and moan about Jank and Anna. That's like their
right.
arc at the current moment.
Well, it's weird because like when they come on, they are very cordial, but then I don't know why they were so aggro to you on Twitter. I mean, I don't know if this is the first time they've been so
No,
aggro to you. You're just like,
like
you're like,
it's
this is why the
constant.
Democrats lost, and it's like, ah,
It's
it's like,
constant.
oh
It's
my
constant.
god,
They're just playing the Twitter game, which
I guess.
I can't stand Twitter because that's basically what it is. It's like everybody. Like I mean, we've had perfectly cordial conversations with Kyle Kalinske. Kyle Kalinski's been on. We've been on his channel. On
Right,
Twitter, he's a fucking insane person. I always
right,
see the shit he's posting, and I'm like, what the fuck?
right, right, right.
What the fuck? Like, dial it back just a little, guy.
Well, I mean, he's not dialing it back on his show either. So obviously,
Oh, I
it's
haven't watched
working, right?
anything in forever.
Oh
So,
yeah, no, it's definitely working for the brand. That's the direction I think a lot of people are going. They're like, oh, you either have to go socialist or you have to go insane.
right,
So you're like, oh, I can be populist left and not socialist as long as I'm like have like these hyper aggressive takes on everything.
right.
So I don't know. So they had their dumb take, but whatever. So I was curious about this bill. So
Yeah, is there
this
any
Lincoln
reporting on whether or
like
not it's going to pass? Like, what's the situation? What's the sitch?
well, we don't I mean it probably will pass is like what the rumor mill thinks. They
Right.
think it's gonna pass, I think. Because it already passed the House, so now it's gonna go into the Senate. And they think that there's going to be enough Democrats. Well, they said they think there are enough Democrats, but maybe not enough to go over like a full, like a supermajority to get over the filibuster. I'm curious to see if they'll block it because the thing is, and this is what I was curious about because I was trying to find like people that were voting it because there were some Democrats that voted in favor of it, and there's some Democrats that voted against it. And I was like, okay, what the people that voted against this what was their rationale for why they voted against it? What was the thing that bothered them about it? And I couldn't really find anyone, at least, yeah, I couldn't really find anyone explaining themselves. It's annoying because there are other bills where like the the representatives or senators will be very smart and they'll like post on their websites like this is why I voted against this bill. It seems crazy that anyone vote against this bill, but here's why. And you go, oh look, they snuck some like crazy thing in
Yeah.
there,
Yeah, that's what
right?
I'm always
Or
thinking.
some things like worded in a weird way that the layperson wouldn't necessarily catch. And that's kind of what happened with or supposedly that's what happened with it. Maybe we'll go through it on stream with, Elon was attacking the Democrats and libs of TikTok. All these other people were attacking the Democrats because they voted against some bill that was supposedly like, it was like, it was a different bill than this one, I think, but it was kind of similar. It was like deporting, illegal immigrants that do sex crimes or something. And I was like, why? Why would you be against that? And then there's some explanation. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that was snuck in the bill.
That's
So maybe we'll,
exactly what I thought. I was like,
right.
there's no way you vote against that unless, of
Right,
course.
right. Unless there's something in it. Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense. So I look at, so I couldn't really find any of the Democrats themselves explain why they're against that. If someone has something like that, send it to me. But I could maybe look at when I was looking at the bill was there's a couple things that jump out at me. The first is that, well, supposedly, um, the change here, my understanding of the change here, which I would agree with, is that they only have to deport you automatically or do this automatic deportation process if you commit a crime that's like a violent crime. And so this is downgrading that to burglary, theft, larceny, shoplifting, which by the way, I'm 100% in favor of. So that's great. But part of the thing that people were complaining about is that if you read the bill, let me pull it up here. And I don't know if you want to pull it up, but I'll send it to you if you do. Here.
Yeah, I was
Is
thinking like the way politics works is that you put up some bill that is against like sexual assault or rape or something like
right.
that. And then you sneak in also, we're going to defund the Department of Education.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. Right.
And
Right. Yeah.
then everyone, as soon as they're like, oh, I got to vote against this because obviously defunding the Department of Education is can't be
Right.
done. Right. But then
Right.
they run with it in the media that look, these guys want to let all the pedophiles out.
Exactly, exactly. So in this first sector, section two findings, it's kind of like they say that they first of all they say that the finding of Congress is that it's mourning and honoring the life and memory of Lake and Riley and other victims of the Biden administration's open border policies. So
Oh,
the
that's,
bill itself is
oh my God.
throwing the blame at Biden, like there. It says number three, the bill denounces the open border policies of President Joe Biden, border czar Vice President Kamala Harris, and Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas. So it's like, okay, does that mean if you vote in favor of the bill, are you agreeing to denounce the president if you're a Democrat? Someone,
Why do
okay,
they have to
interesting.
do that? Just why do they have to do that? Like it probably would get more bipartisan support if they just worded it
Because they
neutrally.
don't want it to, because it's what you said. They want the people to vote against it. They want Democrats to vote against it, and they say, "Oh, look
Oh,
at
you're
you.
right.
You're
Yeah,
in favor of."
as long as they have the numbers to pass it, they don't care.
Right, right.
They're like, we'd rather all of them vote against it and fucking be on the record that they support illegal immigrants murdering young women.
Hmm.
Oh, that's such campaign gold.
Yes, yes. And then also it says that it says the Biden administration should not have released Lake and Riley's alleged murder into the United States. President Biden should publicly denounce his own administration's immigration
Oh
policies
my God.
that resulted in the murder of Lake and Riley. It's just like, okay, like it's just this is it's kind of like, okay, this is all silly. So I'm wondering, first of all, okay, even if this was like legally, if everyone agreed with the laws, are a bunch of Democrats going to vote against it just because of all this, pointless um symbolic crap in the beginning of the bill, right?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is a thumb in their eye. So,
Yes, yes. Okay, but then actually getting into any of the actual substance of the bill beyond that, because it's all symbolic anyway. The things that I think that maybe people have a problem with is and I don't exactly know how I feel about this, is it's not just if you're arrested for or convicted of I'm sorry, it's not just being convicted of committing a crime such as burglary, theft, larceny, or shoplifting. If you're charged with it,
mhm.
you can get deported.
Oh, wow. So that's wide latitude for all those prosecutors out there.
Right, right. So on one hand, I'm like, I have mixed feelings about this because on one hand, I'm like, well, who cares? Because they're illegal. They shouldn't be in the
Mm.
country anyway, right? So who cares? Like, even if they're just getting charged, it's not like you're not throwing them in jail for the crime without convicting them. You're just saying, oh, you were charged And so you have to go back, because you're not supposed to be here anyway. So I'm like, okay, I mean, is that a problem then? On the other hand, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I do like, people getting their due process, but then again, it's due process for the crime, not for being here legally, which they shouldn't be in here for.
Well,
So I
and if they're going
think,
to release him on the street for some sort of court date, they've bought themselves maybe another year in the country.
right, right. So I think I'm tentatively uh in favor of that provision. Just saying, okay, if you get charged, it's enough. Because basically it's just a sorting mechanism to find people who
Right.
shouldn't be who are illegally in the country and saying, okay, well, now you're in the system, you're not supposed to be in the country, so you're going to get deported. So I think I'm in favor of that. Someone would have to talk me out of it at this point. But I could see why a lot of people on the left would be very not in favor of that.
Right.
And then the other thing that's kind of weird, and I don't know the exact extent of this. I feel like there's something here that this feels like kind of like a hidden bomb, and I'm sure some lawyerly people have would go through this and kind of understand it more. But this whole thing about the states have the ability to sue the federal government if they don't think that the federal government is doing its job relating to immigration. I guess my question would be, can states already do that? Number one, because I don't know the answer to that. I would assume they could to some capacity. So I'm not exactly sure what this changes, but that does feel to me like kind of a landmine. Like there's going to be like if that passes, all of a sudden Texas is going to sue the federal government for like, you know, $10 billion or something. Like we've taken like $10 billion in damages from the federal government, not securing the border.
Can the families themselves sue? Like, can Laken Riley sue the federal government for the wrongful death?
So I don't I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. This bill doesn't have anything to do with that. This bill just allows states to sue the federal government. It doesn't have anything to do with
Right. Yeah.
individual citizens.
I caught that.
Right.
That's why like, obviously, the Lake and Riley family could put pressure on the state government to sue the federal government. But if they just did it so all the families could sue, then anyone affected by crime from some illegal immigrant would technically be able to sue.
Right. 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 Um,
I guess it would have to capture them first. I don't know. It's interesting. But most people that are in the Vanguard situation are just. I mean, they live in their own echo chamber where crime is just imaginary. Crime is lower than it ever has been in human history. None of these horrible things are happening. And I like if one is happening, it's too much, right? People
right.
need some sort of recourse.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, but this is why, their unhinged Twittering was like so ridiculous because I was like, okay, maybe there's some part of the bill I don't understand that, well, why I should be against it. Because I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, I mean, unless there's something hidden in that lawsuit thing, I'm in favor of this bill. And I guess, so is Fetterman and the other Democrats that voted for it. So explain to me why I'm not. But no, it's just this like, fuck you, you're a bad person, blah, 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 blah. Just complete nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the game is just talk shit about whoever your political adversary is in the social media context. That's all it is.
Right.
It's unfortunately it takes very little brain power to play this game. So a lot of people get involved that are
I
just
did see,
shit
yeah,
talkers.
right. I did, peruse Reddit to see what the people on Reddit who were against
Oh
this were
my
saying.
god, you went into the belly of the
Well,
beast.
I just was looking for arguments against it, and there were people on Reddit that were claiming that this allowing the states to sue the federal government in this fashion provision would be thrown out by the courts. It was basically already unconstitutional. So,
Hmm.
I don't know, but we'll see what happens with that.
Was that some attorney
It's a Reddit
subreddit or
poster. They're Reddit posters.
I
And the
just
problem with all this stuff is like one person crafts an argument and you're like, okay, like,
everybody takes it, yeah.
yeah, you're like, okay, that sounds like maybe that's true ish. Like, it just sounds like maybe it's true. And then everyone just repeats it. And you're like, okay, well, is everyone just repeating it because they heard it from like the same source? Or are people repeating it because it's true and multiple people or like came to the same conclusion? Right.
Yeah. I mean, this is the value of elections, because the parties do have the power to kind of gaslight their side, but as soon as crime touches your life, like I've seen multiple of these news reports on local Los Angeles news that are talking about the tourism crime stuff. And look, there's every day there's some new report about some home break-in or some carjacking or just like crazy shit. Pre-pandemic, it was relatively crime-free. It was like one of those a month. Now it's
Right.
every day. So I just don't see how people keep tabs on their local situation, and then they vote in national elections accordingly. And I do think a lot of the gaslighting from the left on crime is not a problem and you're all just imagining it.
Hmm.
Where the rubber meets the road is when the election happens, and obviously I think that is data that crime is higher, and people are feeling it.
Right. Right. Okay, and then let me send you this other. So this is, I want to send you this. This is from Jerry Nadler. This was this other law that was circulating on X. It was sort of in response to all the grooming gang stuff going on in the UK, where like, okay, let's also throw shade at the United States of America, even though I don't believe we've handled, like, the UK seems to be, like, I haven't done a deep dive in any of that stuff, but at least, if like 10% of what we're hearing is true, like the UK is
The grooming
totally,
gang stuff, oh
yeah, it's
god.
just so like horrifically fucked up in terms of how they prosecute,
There's like cannibalism
you know,
involved. Oh
sexual
my
violence and rape
oh
and all
my
this other stuff. It's just like
god.
it's totally batshit crazy. So, but I haven't done a deep dive. So I don't know if there's some like, oh, no, it's all blown out of proportion. Like, I'm skeptical that that's the case, but so
Oh.
there was this thing called the Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in this is last May that this was tried to pass. And so this is, let me read you the summary of the bill. It says this bill establishes certain criminal grounds for making non-US nationals inadmissible, aliens, inadmissible, and expands the crimes for which a non-US national is deportable. First, the bill establishes that a non-US national is inadmissible if the individual has admitted to or is convicted of acts constituting the essential elements of stalking, child abuse, child neglect, child abandonment, a sex offense, conspiracy to commit a sex offense, a violation of certain protection orders, and domestic violence, including physical or sexual abuse, or a pattern of coercive behavior when it occurs within certain close relationships. I don't know what that last one means. Pattern of coercive behavior. Next, the bill establishes additional grounds for deportation under current law. A non US national is deportable for certain criminal convictions, including domestic violence, stalking, child abuse. The bill makes any sex offense, including crimes against minors or conspiracy to commit a sex offense, on the basis for deportation. The bill also expands the domestic violence crime that makes up a non US national deportable to include physical or sexual abuse or a pattern of coercive behavior when it occurs with a certain close relationship.
You said this was a Nadler bill? Nadler's a Democrat, right?
Oh, no, no, he didn't write the, Nancy Mace wrote the bill,
Oh,
sponsored the
okay.
bill. Okay.
But he
So,
co-sponsored it with Nancy Mace.
no, no,
The
no, he voted against it.
Oh, okay,
So a
Nadler did.
bunch of,
That
so
that makes
basically,
more sense.
okay, yeah. So basically, unlike the last bill that we were just talking about, where a bunch, there's like kind of split. I don't know exact numbers off the top of my head, but there were Democrats that voted in favor of it. On this one, I believe it was almost all the
Party line.
Democrats. Yeah, it was very partisan line. Like, mostly Democrats voted against it. And so people were, I think there are a couple that voted for it. And so people on Twitter were like, you have to name all these people. These are all people that are protecting rapists in the country. And, they all should be kicked out of Congress. And my first thought was like, okay, if that's true, obviously this is like insane. All those people should be kicked out of Congress if that is true,
But
because
we're
that's
looking for the
totally
poison pill, right?
crazy, right? I'm like, this is totally crazy. So I was trying to look. I was like, okay, well, why did anyone vote against this thing? So I find Jerry Nadler actually gives his explanation for it. So, which obviously merits an investigation beyond just his word. But so what he says is that, starting from the third paragraph, this bill will do nothing to secure our border or fix our broken immigration system, does not close any gaps or fix any loopholes in the law. It is purely a messaging bill, an attempt to score cheap political points. HR 7909 purports to add new grounds of inadmissibility and deportable deportability for sexual offenses and adds a new ground of inadmissibility for domestic violence and other related offenses and expands the current ground for deportability for domestic violence. If that's where the bill stopped, it would almost be entirely redundant to current law. Let me repeat, because all of the conduct described here already constitutes a deportable offense. The bill would ensure that no additional dangerous individuals would face immigration consequences. Zero. So I guess that's the first thing to look into there, which we can, maybe we'll do that on stream, is
He's like, it's already covered.
right. Which when I was reading the bill, that was my first thought. I was like, well, wait a minute. How if somebody's convicted of, because it didn't just say charged, it said convicted of. How if someone who's not convicted of domestic abuse, stalking, child abuse, or some sex crime, how is that not already deportable? That doesn't like we're in the year 2024 and America somehow got to the point where you're not up for being deported if you do domestic abuse or child abuse or something. How is that even possible? And here he's saying no, that it already is, obviously. So I was like, okay, that seems to make sense to me that that'd be the case, right?
We turn them over to the authorities in the country of origin. I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping they don't just like let them go on the streets. They're like, they have a justice department that's going to pick up where we left off.
Well, I believe you have to. They serve their time in America first.
Oh, really? And then they're
Yes,
deported.
and then they're
Okay.
deported afterwards. I believe that's how it
Right.
works.
So we
So
have to house and pay for them and all that
right,
stuff. Great.
right.
Wouldn't it be better if we just sealed the border?
I mean, obviously, that would be the best thing, right?
Yeah.
So, though this would be, let me see, because it says under current U.S. law, a non-U.S. national. Because I'm assuming what this would mean is that even if you had someone who was here legally, that they're not a citizen but they're here legally, if they commit one of these crimes, then they would be deported afterwards too. So it's not just a question of like securing the border, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. So then he continues, but has been the case in every one of the dozen or so immigration and messaging bills we've considered so far. This sloppy, poorly conceived, poorly drafted legislation has far reaching and unintended consequences. At least I hope they're unintended, because the bill includes overly broad definitions and lacks any waiver authority. It threatens to sweep in far more people than it should, including the survivors of domestic violence. So that's interesting. That's an interesting claim because I don't understand how that exactly would work, but maybe he'll explain it to us. Let's break down the problem. Sexual offenses and domestic violence are serious offenses. And if these bills fixed some gap in current law, I would have no problem supporting this legislation. But that's not the case here. First, the sexual offense and the inadmissibility and deportability sections of the bill are largely redundant. All serious sex offenses are already covered under current law. Currently, an individual is rendered deportable if they're convicted of an aggravated felony, which includes rape, sexual abuse of a minor, or a crime of violence, which is defined as, quote, offenses that has an element, the use, attempted use, or threatened use of physical force against the person. In comparison, this bill would render deportable those convicted of, quote, sexual offenses, which is defined as a criminal offense that has an element involving a sexual act or sexual contact with another. These categories almost entirely overlap. So I guess my question to this would be, he says almost. So where is there not overlap? Because that would imply that there's some gap in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, just narrow the bill down to whatever the gap is.
Right.
And then
Additionally,
get them.
under the Immigration Nationality Act, a non-citizen who's convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude, I always love that word, moral turpitude, or kimped, is already subject to removal. Crimes in which there is intent to cause bodily harm have long been considered kimps. As such, people who are convicted of any crime where there's an intent to cause bodily harm, like sexual assaults, are deportable. The inadmissible grounds for kimp are even broader, as one can be deemed inadmissible by even being convicted of or admitting to acts that constitute a kimp. Anyway, again, if this is where all this bill did, it would simply be a waste of our time. But even more significant concerns of this bill arise with a section related to domestic violence. Under current law, people are deportable if they're convicted of domestic violence, and other related crimes can be deemed inadmissible if they commit the acts or are convicted of a CUMT, where the domestic violence or related offense has intent to cause bodily harm. So the crime of domestic violence is well covered by current law. However, this bill attempts to significantly expand the definition of domestic violence to include The Violence Against Women Act definition that is used for grants and funding. So it sounds like there was kind of like a woke, something woke
I know.
that they're trying to use now against, actually, it says the Violence Against Women Act was passed in 1994 by Bill Clinton. So, I felt bad about, shoving that violence and what's her face's hoo-ha. The current definition domestic violence offense under Title 18, which is currently used for deportability purposes, focuses on physical force. In contrast, the broader violence against women based definition used in this bill would lead to more people being ineligible for status or subject to deportation and would sweep in a broader range of behaviors, including criminal charges where there might be any coercive actions, including economic coercion and coercive control. This will likely implicate survivors of domestic violence who have used violence in self-defense or who were accused by their abusers and were either unable to defend themselves or plead guilty to avoid having to go through the court process.
So if a woman defends themselves from her attacker, she could be deported.
Well, I mean
Well, that's the claim. That's the
that's the
claim that he's making.
claim. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, as a layperson, that does sound kind of far-fetched to me. Like,
Well, yeah. Would she even be charged? Is the prosecutor going to step in and charge her?
okay, I understand a situation of someone, in a domestic abuse situation, the abuser, it would make sense to me. The abuser is going to lie and say, no, 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 they abused me, right? It's going to be that kind of situation. But if they're found, if they're found guilty of it, there's hope there's evidence, or they're saying that they pled guilty to avoid having to go through a court process. I mean, don't do that. Like, why would you do that? Don't do that, I guess. Like, the whole point, the legal system is supposed to adjudicate these issues, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Hmm.
Fairly and quickly.
Now, I mean,
Oh,
we're
that's so loud.
talking now. We're talking about people that are non-citizens, so they could be here legally or they could be here illegally. So I don't know. This explanation doesn't really make sense to me. This is not well enough explained to me. So what does this mean
You
exactly?
don't like Nadler's response to why
I
he
mean,
didn't
I'm
vote for
glad
this.
that there's a response, right? I'm
Right.
glad that there's something here. There's something that he's making an argument and saying like, okay, all the thing, like the part of the bill that everyone finds horrific, that's already in law, so you don't have to like freak out about that. Which I'm like, okay, good. That's what I would hope is the case. But this part, I don't. It doesn't make sense to me what this means exactly. But
Right.
maybe he'll continue. The Violence Against Women Act definition was never intended to be used as a criminal statute or to capture only criminal behavior. We know this because the statute specifically says it includes a pattern of any other coercive behavior committed, enabled, or solicited to gain or maintain power and control over a victim, including verbal, psychological, economic, or technical abuse that may or may not constitute criminal behavior.
So in that Violence Against Women Act, they just make a super, super generalized claim about violence against women. Like if you don't allow your spouse to have a credit card because she's like a massive spender,
Mm-hmm.
that's violence against women.
I mean, but that's true though. That is violence against women, right?
Well, how bad is her spending? You tell me.
Exactly, exactly. Hold on.
You could be doing her a favor.
Right, right, right. Listen, it's self-defense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me open up the bill for a second here. The bill is very short. It says Section 2, inadmissibility and deportability. Okay. The Immigration Nationality Act is amended by adding at the end the following: sex offenses. Any alien who has been convicted of, who admits to having committed, or who admits committing acts which constitute the essential elements of a sex offense, as such term defined in Section 111(5) of the Adam Walsh Protection Child Safety Act of 2006, or conspiracy to commit such an offense is inadmissible. Okay, so that's the part that he said is basically already in law. Domestic violence, stalking, child abuse, or violation protection order. Any alien who's been convicted of, who admits to have committed, or who admits committing acts which constitutes the essential elements of one, a crime of domestic violence, as such in terms defined in terms section blah blah blah, a crime of stalking, a crime of child abuse, child neglect, or child abandonment, a crime of violating a protection order, as defined in section blah blah blah, which I'm gonna have to look at, involves protection against credible threats of violence, repeated harassment, or bodily injury to the person or persons whom the protection order was issued. Okay, hold on. I got because it doesn't reference that violence against women's act thing that he's talking about. And this deportability in the clause inserting at the end includes any crime that constitutes domestic violence as such. Okay. Wait, here it is. Includes any crime that constitutes domestic violence as such terms defined in section 4002A of the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, regardless of whether jurisdiction receives grant funding under that act. Okay. So we gotta go look up what section 4002A is. They really should like make all this stuff a lot easier
They
to.
should do hyperlinks to each of them, right?
They
Just
kind of
immediately go. Every
they
single
kind of
word should be a
do.
hyperlink.
They should, yeah. Every time they say as sound in this blah 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 thing, that it should be there. And it like kind of is and it kind of isn't at the same time. Let's see. So I found wait.
Are we still looking for the poison pill?
I'm trying to see trying to
It doesn't
find
seem to
this
be an evident poison pill. I mean, I
this
don't see anything in here about abolishing the Department of Education.
well he's saying the argument is that the poison pill is that there's something within this definition of domestic violence
Right.
that was in the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994.
Right. They use a super wide definition
Right.
where basically, if you roll your eyes at your girlfriend, that is considered domestic violence.
Exactly.
That is considered violence against women.
Right.
And you can be deported for that, right? So if Jose comes in and rolls his eyes at his girlfriend, next thing you know, he's like going back to Mexico.
Mm-hmm. As the term
And
that's the
Jerry Nadler is
definitions.
going to lose another vote. He's going to be like, damn, Jose was a
Right.
reliable vote for me.
There you go.
His girlfriend's a total bitch and she deserves all those eye rolls. But still, we need to keep him in the country so that I can continue to get that vote.
Well, listen, people shouldn't be deported for eye rolls. Okay, obviously.
You don't think? I mean, what if they're in the country illegally?
Well, then they should be deported because they're in the country illegally. Then.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
What if they are an asylum seeker but a heavy eye roller?
Okay.
Look, the asylum seeking stuff I think is largely bullshit.
Yeah, but this is to be clear. This applies to people who are in the country legally, like they could have a visa or
Oh, and
something.
their visa gets revoked?
And they would get deported. Like if you have a visa and you commit a sex crime, they can just revoke and deport you, right?
Yeah, they should do that immediately.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So this would apply to people that are. That's what I'm saying. This would apply to people who are not citizens but are in the country legally.
Right.
This is not just for people that are in the country illegally.
Right.
That's
And
at least
so
my
that's why he
understanding.
doesn't want the expanded definition because obviously Republicans are going to go hog wild and deport every eye roller out there. And Jerry
Well,
Nadler's worried because that's his voting base.
that is the well, without the voting base part, that is what he's claiming, right? So, okay, so I found here's the crime. Here's
Is
the thing he was
Nadler
talking
even
about.
in California? He's got to be.
Here's the domestic violence definition. The term domestic violence includes felony or misdemeanor crimes committed by a current or former spouse or intimate partner of the victim under the family of domestic violence laws of the jurisdiction receiving grant funding, and in the case of victim services, includes the use or attempted use of physical abuse, sexual abuse, or a pattern of any other coercive behavior committed, enabled, or solicited to gain or maintain power and control over a victim, including verbal, psychological, economic, or technical abuse that may or may not constitute criminal behavior. Okay. Hmm.
That's cool. Well, you work on that. I've got a little video I want to bring up just so we know. We need to do some research on Jerry Nadler here to figure out.
Why? What is this? What is this video you're gonna bring up?
Here, let's watch. This is from C-SPAN. It's called Jerry Nadler Shits Himself Live.
Oh, of course.
Here he is. So here's the guy we're talking about, just so you guys can have some context.
Proceed.
Oh my God. They might have added that sound effect.
You think they added
the distinguished chairman in acknowledging legislation of other.
Okay. Supposedly he really did shit himself, so I don't think adding the sound effect helps because it makes it seem like maybe he didn't, but anyway, continue.
Okay.
Just trying to let everyone know.
That's fine. Let me go back to Jerry Nadler's statement here as he's wiping his butt here.
And Jerry Nadler is also from New York. I looked it up. So
right. Now they still would have to be under this now I'm still kind of this vagueness of this charge here, this coercive behavior is used improperly. I mean, they still have to be convicted of a crime, of that crime. It's not just like being charged with it according to the law. So it says, so he says, you do not have to take my word for it. Nearly 180 national and local groups as part of the National Task Force to End Sexual and Domestic Violence echo these same concerns in their letter opposing the legislation. I asked for a unanimous consent to submit that letter to the record. We'll see if we can read that letter. What the heck they're talking about. By layering immigration consequences onto existing challenges and talking of domestic abuse, this legislation will almost certainly create a chilling effect in immigration communities with regards to reporting of crimes of domestic violence. Further, this bill attempts to create new grounds of inadmissibility for domestic violence, which does not require conviction, does not have any of the exceptions that currently exist in the portability grounds. I didn't see that part in the bill. I don't understand what the whole it doesn't require conviction thing, because it says I mean, it says they have to be convicted. That's what I don't understand.
In the bill?
My reading of
so
it.
Nadler's like completely making that up?
Unless I mean, I could be missing something. So I don't know. But that doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe Nadler's reading between the lines. Maybe Nadler is lying because he doesn't want to sign off on the bill.
It's possible.
Making excuses.
Under current law, when an individual is convicted of domestic violence or stalking and therefore becomes deportable, there are exceptions if the government finds the individual is not the primary perpetrator, was acting in self-defense, or the crime did not result in serious bodily injury. While domestic violence advocates have concerns about the effectiveness of these waivers, such waivers are not even an option in the new inadmissibility grounds under this bill, which means it would certainly lead to survivors being deemed inadmissible given the expansive definition and no conviction requirement. Oh, okay. I understand what he's saying. He's saying, okay, the no conviction thing. Well, wait a minute. Well, the no conviction thing is in the inadmissibility thing. So there's nothing, it's not the deportation. They're saying, you're inadmissible to even enter the country. I mean, I can kind of understand the whole waiver thing, which is, if someone in America wants to go look into the case to make sure it was not like a sus, court case, I think they should have the right to do that, to look into it and say, oh, this was like, some kangaroo court somewhere, whatever country the person is from. So that is why so many domestic violence organizations oppose this legislation. We anticipate even more will voice their opposition if this bill ever makes it to the House floor. The bill is dangerous. I wish my Republican colleagues would work with us to fix our immigration system instead of moving these pointless messaging bills and attempting some cheap political points. So I guess the whole I fucking hate how all this works, because I am actually genuinely curious as to what the truth claim is to this contentious part of the bill, but that doesn't really get discussed, because the only part that gets discussed is, oh my God, you're protecting sexual predators, when that part is already against that, like you're already going to get deported for being a sexual predator anyway. So that doesn't really address the actual issue.
Right. You want actual substance in your policy debate that you're not going to get in the current environment, where it's just like they're capitalizing on low information voters.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, I found this will be the last thing and we'll move on. found the national domestic violence statements on this that he was talking about. Dear Senators, as you know, members of the organization of the National Task Force to End Sexual and Domestic Violence represent millions of survivors of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, and professionals who serve these survivors, the faith organizations support them, the schools that educate them, and the businesses and communities that care about them throughout the United States and its territories. The NTF has worked for 24 years to ensure the federal, tribal, state, territorial, and local governments and communities address the pervasive and insidious crimes of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. We're dedicated to keeping survivors safe and free from continuing trauma while holding perpetrators accountable. One of the primary tools we have to do our work with is the Violence Against Women Act. We write now to appraise you of our intention to disengage from negotiations over the Violence Against Women Act reauthorization and of the important reasons for this decision. The Violence Against Women Act was in 1994, was a watershed moment for our nation. The passage meant that our federal government finally acknowledged that domestic and sexual violence causes tremendous harm to individuals and society and allocates resources to helping victims, improving the response of courts, blah, blah, blah. It's time, way past time to do more to end this violence and to protect our communities. That means investing more prevention. Okay, we all agree. Domestic violence is bad. So what is it? What is the problem with it? That's what we're looking for.
What's the problem? Yeah, what's the problem with domestic violence? That's my question exactly.
That's the question. What is wrong with domestic violence, Adam?
Right.
It was used by humans for generation to keep the women
in line. I know.
Right.
Look, we let them vote. How else are we going to keep them in line, right?
Right. We got to get home and make sure that there's a sandwich or a chicken in the oven. Okay. Right. Already cooking, already ready.
Yes.
Let's see.
Chicken in every pot or a backhand in every...
Oh my God. It's terrible.
In every pocket. Right?
There you go.
Look, I think women should, I'm joking, obviously. I think women should vote. And I'm not in favor of domestic violence, okay? Vanguard cuck boys.
There you go.
Don't clip us out of context.
I am in favor of domestic violence. You can't clip that out of context.
Oh, really? Wow. Sitch coming out strong here.
There you go.
It depends.
However, okay, here it is. However, we have grave concerns about the way the Senate Judiciary Committee under current leadership has failed to demonstrate the lessons learned through the implementation of VAWA. That's the Violence Against Women Act. Over the past 24 years, if the committee is not willing to engage in a process that upholds dignity and safety of a person who has come forward to report that she was a victim of sexual assault, they cannot pretend to care about the reauthorization of VAWA. VAWA. Oh my God, they brought up the Blasey Ford lady. Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's deeply troubling and highly credible allegations against Judge Brett Kavanaugh, unwillingly made public, have put the issue of victim autonomy and safety, trauma-informed response, and proper investigation assessment at center stage of the nation. Okay, but this has nothing to do with the immigration thing.
Right.
Maybe this is the wrong statement.
This is all about deporting illegal immigrants who commit crime. That's the whole purpose of all these bills. Pass them all. Let the courts sort it out. We have to pass the bill so we know what's in it.
I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of... Who was it that said that? Because that's kind of the way it works.
Nancy Pelosi.
You're right.
I think she said it about the famous healthcare bill, right? The ACA or Obamacare, as some people call it.
Oh, did she say that?
We have to pass the bill so we know what's in it. It's only 10,000 pages. No one's going to read this shit.
Okay, this was the wrong thing I was reading. Okay,
oh no!
Whatever.
Oh no!
I can't find the thing that they're, because he didn't fucking link it. That asshole Jerry Nadler. What the fuck?
Old stinky Jerry Nadler.
I can't believe it. Okay.
Do you think there should be age limits on Congress? Do you think people serving into their 70s is a good idea?
Probably not.
Yeah. Why not? Why not just dump them at 70? Mandatory retirement.
I mean, at least 75. Okay. Give them like 5 years.
Yeah.
I just better science.
70 would be more playing it safe, because there are people that like lose their minds early on. So, and now there's so much evidence that these staffers just step in and they're like, holy shit, I'm fucking 22 years old and I'm a senator. They're making all the decisions.
Yeah, that does seem to be going on a lot
Yeah.
in these situations.
They just drop the bill in front of whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go, Feinstein. Sign another bill. This one is to teach all grade school children about gender ideology. Oh, thank you. I'll sign immediately. I'm a co-sponsor of this bill, aren't I? Yes, you are, Dianne Feinstein.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't she die in office? Is Dianne Feinstein still alive? I think she died in office. Yeah, died in office. God, that's so. Oh man, if you're dying in office of old age, there's a giant problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I get it if you're in an accident or something, you're in a brutal car accident or a plane crash or something like that. Okay. But you're dying in office of old age. Troubling. Very troubling.
So I think I found their statement, but their
Okay.
statement just seems to be
Who's
saying
they?
the National Task Force to End Sexual and Domestic Violence Against Women, and their response to
That's like an
this,
NGO. That sounds horrible.
it's a,
Sounds like they
it's
probably just is a money laundering operation. What was it?
it's
What was
one
the
of these
name of it
advocacy
again?
groups, right?
Yeah.
What? Yeah,
What was the name of it again?
National Task Force
To end?
to end sexual and domestic violence against women.
Okay. NGO, money laundering operation. They probably have a staff of like 30 people that all make $500,000 a year. They probably do fucking jack shit for women or women
Mm-hmm.
who are involved in domestic violence.
But this doesn't really seem to be like, so they tell a bunch of stories, which all, I mean, assuming they're true, are horrible stories of like women that were suffering physical, sexual, and domestic abuse. And then they were just afraid to go to the police because they thought they would be deported. But I don't really see how the law, Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act, would like, how does that have anything to do with this? Like, how does that make it easier for, or why does it make it more likely that a sufferer of domestic violence or sexual abuse is going to think they themselves will be deported?
Because they're in the country illegally.
Yeah, but the passage of, how is the passage of that law going to influence that? Wouldn't they think that regardless?
Yeah, they are going to think that regardless.
Right.
Ridiculous. Of course, regardless of the bill, they're going to think that. This is why illegal immigration is just a huge blight on American society, because it does allow all of this victimization to take place in the shadows.
Right.
So we're not doing them any favors.
Well, I'm gonna say I don't know. So far, I don't really buy. I don't think Jerry Nadler gave a really an adequate explanation of why him and other people voted against this thing.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm reassured that the horrible parts of the bill are already illegal, but I still don't understand the problem I have with this one part of it. So
Okay. Well, hopefully we've changed some of your minds on domestic violence. We've convinced you
that it's good.
domestic violence is wrong
Oh, okay.
and shouldn't be done. And anyone who even thinks about domestic violence and is in the country illegally should be deported. But actually, why don't we just deport them because they're in the country illegally, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd probably be the best course of action. So
Michael
we got a
Schwackman,
new
thanks so
administration
much.
coming in, a hang 'em high administration who's like, going to be free, going to be lowering rents by
Right.
deporting everyone.
Right. I like the picture you got up here.
Yeah, I did a little light
I
graphic
saw
design
a
on it.
light
Did you see?
graphic design. Yeah.
Look at it's poor Nancy Pelosi peeking out above the giant fart cloud that
Right.
Jerry
right.
Nadler has unleashed.
It's like, listen, where was he on January 6th? He could have used that to like distract
Oh, of course.
the rioters, right? And then make an escape, for
He
for
could have
everybody.
cleared out the whole chamber.
Right.
All right, fun stuff.
Michael Schwackman, thanks so much for 15 months being a free will seeker.
Nice. Welcome.
Twitter sucks. Thanks so much for being 24 months of Freedom Seeker. Says an immigrant in France is deported for not delivering food to a Jew, but they totally ignore rape gangs and cartel sex trafficking. Clown world. I have literally no clue what the story is that you're talking about, but okay. Twitter sucks for $20 says the irony of per capita crime rate in rural red towns is if you expand the statistics by looking at the number of victims, its magnitude's higher in higher population cities. Like, duh. Also, I forget it was 2 years. There you go.
Yeah, obviously big cities have higher crime rates.
JMac, thanks so much to Circuit 5 for the 50 gifted memberships. Thank you so much.
Woo! Welcome new members.
And thank you, JMac, for $20. Says Jerry Nadler has the frame and mannerisms of a grumpy mythical creature, probably a boggle or troll. That is true.
Yeah.
He does have a lot of troll energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He lives under a bridge in Washington, D.C.
Okay, here's the story. Delivery man who refused service to French Jews deported to his native Algeria. French immigration authorities deported a 19-year-old immigrant from Algeria who was jailed for refusing to deliver food to Jews after it was discovered he was living in France illegally. Dia Ndine D was sentenced in January to 4 months in jail for declining to deliver food made by kosher restaurants in Strasbourg while he was working there as a food courier. Upon his arrest, following a complaint to police by the restaurant's owner for discrimination, the courier was also found to have been living illegally in France. Oh, okay. Well, they're like, listen, don't be fucking bigoted. And they're like, oh, you're not supposed to be here. Is that the way that
was
people
deported.
want to run?
Yeah, he was deported because he was there illegally.
Right.
They just got wise to him because he was being
because he didn't like the
dick.
Jews, so they caught him. See, that's why you should like the Jews. Libertarian Satchwatch for 2 hours says, Adam, he lit that woman on fire because he was hungry. That's terrible.
Oh my God. That's probably what the Vanguard boys think. They're like, oh, look, a woman we can eat.
Mm-hmm. Lethal Train for $10 says, I live in Kansas, about 45 minutes from Kansas City. I think that is a per capita statistic. This is misleading. We're in Kansas City almost 3 to 4 times a month. Last big news was the Chiefs parade shooting last year.
Yeah, that's a way that they cheat, huh? They totally do. Because it's like, they have a really small population. So obviously they have a murder every year. But in Los Angeles, where you got 25 million people, it's like 6 murders a day.
It says Kansas City's violent crime rate is one of the highest in the nation with a rate of 14.83 per 1,000 residents. The chance of becoming a victim of violent crime in Kansas City is 1 in 67, making the city one of the top 100 most dangerous cities in the United States.
Top 100. That's not top 5.
Well, I don't know. That's just what it says. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It could be top 5. Top 5.
So it's like what, 15 per 1,000, and they're like, yeah, we have a population of 3,000.
Well, what's the population of Kansas City?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Let's see. Kansas City, Missouri population is like 500,000. It's a little more.
500,000.
Well, actually, it depends because it says the metro population.
It's not even a fucking million.
Well, hold on. It says the metro population is 2.3 million. So I don't know if that crime rate is just the city or are they including like the metro area? Because the metro area is always gigantic.
Ridiculous. So. They live in the sticks.
I don't know if that's. I don't think we have enough information. I don't have enough information to say whether that stat is like
big or small.
I'm assuming it's big. I mean, that seems like a lot. 14.8 crime per 1,000 residents. That seems like a lot. A 1 in 67%, 1 in 67 chance. So, I mean, I'm sure there's specific areas of the city that are bad and are good. There's a website called Crime Grade, and they give you a map of like the most dangerous and least dangerous parts of Kansas City. Here, I'll send it to Adam. Adam can bring it up. All right.
Perfect.
So you guys will know where in Kansas City to stay away from. Okay. Where's the bad spots?
Do they even live in Kansas City, Missouri? Who knows?
I don't know. Here you go. Here's the map. You can bring that up. Stay away.
I love it.
There's a lot of red in that map.
This looks horrible. Holy shit. I hope they live downtown. That'll turn them around pretty quick, right? They get
Right.
carjacked. Although they probably ride bicycles. They probably don't have cars. They seem like cyclists to me. What do you think?
They do. So according to this, it says that this website, they give Kansas City a D- overall in crime grade. It says a crime occurs every 3 minutes on average in the Kansas City area.
Every 3 minutes.
Your home is 300% more likely to be robbed with no home security system.
Wow.
Kansas
Are
City's
you on
in
a
the 10th
security system website?
Yes.
Oh, oh no.
Kansas City is the 10th percentile for safety, meaning 90% of cities are safer, and 10% of cities are more dangerous.
So the red areas are F.
Yes.
The green areas are A plus.
The yellow is the C.
Right.
So I guess orange is like D.
But there's a lot of F's on there.
There's a lot of F's on there, yeah. It's not good. Now,
And
see, this is saying
and
it's
the
higher because
Vanguard boys live right here in Buccaneer.
they're saying that the crime rate is 64 per 1,000 residents. So they're saying it's double what that other website said. So I don't know, maybe this map is incorrect.
They're obviously, if they're selling security systems, they're like, just paint the whole thing red.
I was just joking. I have no clue what they're selling.
Okay, good.
Oh wait, no, they are selling security systems. Never mind.
That's the problem. The internet fucking sucks now because it's all just terrible content that's designed to sell you something.
You're completely correct. They're 100% selling home security systems.
Right. So they're incentivized to basically make you think Kansas City is on fire.
Right. So I don't know. According to this website, you want to live in Oaks, Missouri, or Fairway, Kansas, Houston Lake, Roland Park. Those are the A's, and Avondale. Those are the A's and B's.
I mean, these guys love illegal immigrants so much they should just move to Mexico.
There you go. North Kansas City gets an F. Randolph gets an F, gets a D. And let's see, Westwood and Riverside and Northmore all get C's. Sad. Very sad.
I'm thinking Tijuana. They should just get an apartment in Tijuana. It'd be good for their content.
I like it. Okay.
They can be human trafficked 3 times a year.
Lethal Strain for $5 says if they're charged and convicted, then they're in our jails and prisons. True. Alex Wright for $5 says certain sections of HR 29 aim to undo United States versus Texas decision, which Representative Mick Clintlock acknowledged during the floor debate. Check Forbes Business or BN. Oh,
I bet our prison system is a cakewalk to a lot of these illegal immigrants, though. I can't imagine the Mexico prison system.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering. Yeah, because there was that about the whole state's ability to sue the federal government because there was that lawsuit, I guess, like that already came about with Texas trying to sue the government. I thought the Supreme Court threw it out. So, but I guess I didn't read that ruling, so I don't know if that was thrown out because they said that there was no legal bounds, like in current law, or that's just not like a constitutional issue. Like constitutionally, states can't do that. So, interesting.
That's great. Alex is in the know like that.
Yes.
He's often critical of me, so, but it's good.
Filthy Casual $5 says we are 25 years into the century and officially in future as the first court case using VR has just happened, putting the judge in the defendant's eyes. Yeah, I saw that. Did you see that?
Is that with the New Orleans guy? What happened?
No, it wasn't.
Because I saw a thing
situation.
that the. Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
It was in Florida, I think, wasn't it? Let me see. Yeah, Florida judge. Yeah, this is a cool story. Florida judge wears VR headset to step inside simulation of the crime scene. Florida judge made history by wearing a virtual reality headset to examine an alleged crime scene. Judge Andrew Sigel agreed to a defense request that he wear the headset to review a wedding venue where the owner allegedly pulled a gun on rowdy guests.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a thing on the New Orleans terrorist that ran over a bunch of people where he was wearing virtual reality, or I guess like meta glasses,
No,
Like,
the terrorist was, you said he was wearing them when he ran over the people, right?
yes.
Yes, but this is a judge. They're like, oh, someone, they pull out a gun, and then they're trying to they're charged him saying that you shouldn't pull out a gun. That's aggravated assault. And he's like, no, I was like, I needed to for my own self defense purposes. So they're gonna put on like the VR headset that's supposed to show from his POV, so you can experience like why he
Right.
pulled out the gun.
Yeah. Feel that fear. Put a bunch of unsavory looking characters in that wedding hall,
Right.
and they're all holding knives and weapons, and the judge is like, "Oh fuck."
Well, I mean, that's cool. Listen, that's a cool thing. I'm completely in favor of that. That's a good idea. I don't know anything about this case, whether this person was justified or not, but I do like the idea of that. So good for them. A Libertarian Task Force for $2 says, real question is how many actually get deported? That is true. Careman52 for $5 says, the only way I can see now there's argument so far is if the crime was some type of fraud that would fit the coercive behavior definition from VAWA. Yes.
I think he's just making an excuse.
Lethal Strain for $2 says, Nadler is the Timu version of the penguin. It's terrible.
Oh man.
Don't use
That's a
Timu,
sick
guys.
burn.
Don't use Timu. Twitter sucks for $5 says, at the same time, a woman was sexually assaulted on a beach and that immigrant isn't being deported. What the fuck? Let's see. What's that
I
story
didn't see
about?
that story.
Palm Beach County Sheriff says federal government putting American people in jeopardy. Is this the one? Is in Palm Beach County? I mean, these people are. Oh, this must not be it because these people are facing crimes and gonna, go get deported. So I'm not sure what story you're talking about. Okay. Do you want to watch?
So I was looking for Zuckerberg's message.
I have it on Twitter.
Oh, you do?
I couldn't find it just on YouTube.
think
Like, because
it's-
like when I searched on YouTube, it was just a bunch of stupid like news stories about it, as opposed to just like
Oh.
the actual thing. So
Oh, okay. Well, this has a clip of the message. Give me the Twitter.
I
We
just
see the
did.
whole. We can see the whole glorious
see the
message.
whole
right?
thing.
That's what we're all about. We're like, we want to see.
Well, it's only like 5 minutes.
Zuckerberg come out and say, "You're fired, all you California social justice warriors, screwing up my platform,
Oh, never mind. I found it.
banning
on YouTube.
everybody." You did?
Sometimes the day of something you can't find it, and then you can find it afterwards. Because like,
Hey everyone.
it's because how the algorithm does this really shitty thing where if something is breaking news, it's like it will only feed you results from the mainstream media. And if the mainstream media is not playing the whole thing, they're just playing their own excerpts of it, you just won't be able to find it. It's a terribly designed system.
Yeah. Sucks.
Okay. Did the watch together up?
It is, yeah.
Hey everyone. I want to talk about something important today because it's time.
What's up with his hair? Is that what he wants to talk about? Is he becoming Screech from Saved by the Bell?
This is a new brand for Zuckerberg. He's like a MMA fighter, and he's like
a gym bro.
He's trying to get rid of that robot appearance.
Listen, you could put lipstick and a wig on a robot. It's still gonna be a robot, okay? It doesn't matter. Everyone still looks into those soulless dead eyes and they see the robot that lies beneath.
Geez, Sitch, usually you're the good faith Gary here. Like, we're 4 seconds in and Sitch is already condemning Zuckerberg.
No, listen, I'm just
lifelong.
I'm just kidding.
Robotics, dude.
This is a good thing. I'm glad Zuckerberg is doing all this stuff.
He's trying to rehabilitate his brand. Okay. Look, he's like,
fun.
You can't drop a bunch of bots onto Facebook or Instagram and then like people accuse you of being a bot yourself. It's bad branding. He's like, I got to fix that first. Then we bring the bots in.
That's true.
Time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown.
That's such bullshit. You built social media so you get bloody rich. Why are these people such fucking liars?
That's not true. I saw the social network. He started Facebook because he wanted to get laid,
Yes,
even though that
exactly.
movie is completely untrue and he was like in a long-term relationship right at the time.
Yeah.
5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get
He sees that regulation coming. He's like, holy shit, we've been anti-Trump for like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's in office. They're going to regulate the shit out of us. He's like, Elon was so smart to get ahead of this.
rid
Well,
of
that's what I
fact
wonder
checkers and
is like the big thing here is that also, I mean, it's because Elon is so close to Trump. Elon has a competing social media company. You know, they're like, oh, we gotta get in good, before we get pushed out by Elon.
Of course, yeah. It's
So,
just like Hollywood coming in with the movie rating system before Congress put the ban hammer down on them. They're like,
right.
look, we can be good. We'll be good. We're not going to ban all your supporters.
Mm-hmm.
They're just wildly biased towards the left wing. And he is smart to move everything out of California where
Yes.
your employment pool is just woker than woke.
Well, it's also, I'm assuming it's way cheaper to be in Texas anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected,
No, it's so annoying because I wish like community notes when it first came out was so good. And I feel like it just sucks now. Like I rarely ever see anything get noted anymore.
Oh really?
Yeah. Like back when it first came out, I would see things get noted pretty constantly. And it seemed like 9 times out of 10, I was like, oh, it's community notes.
You
And it was
mean
like,
dishonest shit?
yeah, like someone would post something, and 9 times out of 10, there'd be like a community note on it that I would look at and I'd look into, be like, oh, this community note is like correct. Like this is a good community note. Usually, now I just like very rarely see any community notes. And I remember, I forget what the story was, but there was some completely nonsensical tweet that was going around. I was like, Jesus, this really needs a community note. And some people, some fans like who are in the community notes program sent me a screenshot and there was like all these like there's like competing community notes, and you see like two of them seem legitimate, and one was just batshit fucking crazy. And so I was like, oh great, so that means there's like batshit crazy people in the community notes program that have been, I guess, they're just holding it up hostage or something.
So all is in community notes now.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Yeah, so I mean, there's got to be
I'm
a way
sure
to.
Thal is great though. Obviously, come on.
Oh, you said Thal. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
hear.
Thal.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly.
was
Thal is in
Thal's-
community notes. Yeah,
what-
it's Thal's fault. Yeah,
What
exactly.
was Thal's old name? God, I wish people wouldn't change their names, but
I
anyway,
don't remember.
that's pretty funny. Thal is A team. As long as he's not community noting me, that's fine.
There you go.
I've seen you tag community notes on some shit. I know the stuff that's dishonest or just wrong completely inflames you. So you're like,
Because it's
fuck
like
this shit.
it's so, to me, it's just so horribly obnoxious when you have all these people believe in some like
No, I
horrific
agree.
worldview of reality. Like, oh my God, the world is so bad, because here's some community notes thing, showing me how the world is like the worst thing ever. And then I look into it, I'm like, oh, this is just a fucking lie. Like everyone's getting their mind melted and believing the worst things ever based on a fucking lie.
So you're saying the community note is the lie?
No, well, I'm saying no. I'm saying that now there just doesn't even seem to be community notes
Okay.
at like really as active anymore.
So the
And I'll see
lies
if
just spread.
I'll see. Yeah, so the lies just spread because now it seems like there's a bunch of fucking crazy people in the community notes program.
Right. That just ignore it.
In 2016, the legacy media wrote fact checkers and replaced them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US.
That is TDS right there. That's the fucking evidence of TDS all the way.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, Trump, let me lose my fucking mind.
Right.
He's the creator of political bias in everyone. It's insane.
So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to...
He's like, oh my God, we trans like thousands of kids because we
Right.
wouldn't let conflicting opinions be spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
So sad, but I'm sure they did. I'm sure they destroyed tens of thousands of lives over this fucking shit.
I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed, so we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon.
Okay. So that's all good
All right.
news, right? That all sounds good.
Sure.
You don't seem very
I'm
happy
not
about
gonna
it.
go on. I'm not gonna go on Facebook.
Well, listen,
to,
I'm not gonna go
to
on
look it up.
Facebook, but I know a lot of boomers go on Facebook,
Right.
and I'm glad that if the boomers are getting better new sources of news, like assuming that they can fix the community notes problem and have an actually functioning, working community notes, then this is good. Because before, I mean, they had like, I think they had like PolitiFact and Snopes and all these other like
Oh
really
my
shitty
God.
fact check organizations that were fact checking this stuff. And I mean, they're those people, you just can't trust any of that
The
shit.
worst. Yeah.
Right, right.
Well, they have so much fucking power because so many of these people, they get their news on Facebook. It's like
Yes.
that's where they go. One platform basically curates their entire understanding of the world.
Mm-hmm. Of course. But
That's
that's
just
how
horrendous.
it is. But this is unfortunately part of the problems with social media is like they're like the people that go on Reddit, they just assume everything on Reddit is true. People go or like with their bubble of Reddit is true. Same thing, people go on X, their bubble of X, all that information is true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
It's
yeah, but
crazy.
yes,
It's insane.
it is crazy. Um and look, I sent you that thing that I was talking about. If you want to bring it up, the tweet that like still does not have a community note, which is like fucking insane to me because it's such a,
Mhm.
obviously a fake story. If you want to bring that up,
Right.
but
I will.
okay. So here's my theory. Here's my theory of why Zuckerberg is doing this now.
Mhm.
Specifically, why he's doing this now. The next 4 years are very, very vital for the development of artificial intelligence. Okay.
Mhm.
Like this is like we're on a precipice here. And Elon is in the AI game. Zuckerberg and Meta is in the AI game. All these companies, Sam Altman, all these companies are in the AI game. And all of a sudden you have Elon is like best buddies with Donald Trump. And
I know.
I think that Zuckerberg here is like, oh my God, like we can't let Facebook or Meta fall behind on the AI game at this important juncture. Who knows if Trump is going to pass some crazy shit that's going to hamstring Meta and is going to allow Tesla to run free with all this AI stuff. So we're going to like totally be like, oh, listen, we're like on your side. We're totally going to, clamp down on like left wing disinformation. We're going to change everything. I think this is all just out of the fear of losing the AI race.
A ploy. Yeah.
Yes.
And Elon is outspoken about the dangers of AI. If he's in Trump's ear with that kind of stuff
Yes.
and wants to come up with some sort of regulatory apparatus that he's going to run with AI, oh my
Yes.
God, he would shut
Yeah.
everyone else out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's got to be terrifying for all of these tech bro oligarchs.
Right. I think that's the real reason all these tech bros are bending the knee to Trump.
Sam Altman also, like, Elon does not like Sam Altman
No.
and goes after OpenAI all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's on the horizon here. Doesn't he already have some team in place about supervising AI? I think David Sachs is in charge of it, which is just
Yeah, that's what
stand.
started the H-1B visa conversation.
I can't stand David Sachs. I can't
Right.
imagine him. Like, David Sachs is just basically, oh, we just got to let the market figure it out. We got to let it run wild.
Right.
So I
Which,
can't imagine that being a good position.
on AI, I don't know. It could go either
It is
direction.
counter to
Right.
Elon's. At least Elon does have this idea that, oh yeah, it's definitely plausible that we could create a super intelligence that's smarter than us and dangerous for our survival. Like, at least Elon believes that. So many of these
Right.
people are like, yeah, whatever. It'll
Right.
all be fine.
Well, but that's sort of the issue here. So why this is such a delicate dance is like, we have to make sure the AI is safe. It doesn't enslave us like Skynet or the Matrix or something. But the same token, it's like you look at Europe, they put on so many regulations that they've completely hamstrung it so that
Yeah, they're not even in the race.
They're not even in the race. And so we can't have a situation where like, okay, we're trying to do something safe, which is good. But then China's like, haha, suckers, we don't give a fuck about safety. We rule the world now because like you've been fucking around. Now we have our AI super bot that can take over all your systems and you're like completely defenseless.
It's just so weird because constantly think of the race to nuclear weapons and how that was just completely opaque for the normal everyday Joe in America, right? They didn't know
Yes.
that this impending catastrophe was going on behind the scenes. So they're just fat, dumb, and happy about the whole thing. And here we are. Like, how the fuck are we supposed to sleep at night?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is all in our faces. Like this is going to reshape the world the same way nuclear weapons did. And if China gets to it first, oh God, we're fucked. We're fucked. If you don't think Xi Jinping is going to like fuck with us in major ways, right?
Hmm.
Imagine like the power grid going down and shit like that.
Right.
Like imagine the fucking banking system being fucked with by artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's just crazy.
yeah. And it's, it's funny because we watched on Sunday that complete jagoff retard who was like, China just wants to sell you things. Don't worry about China. They just want to sell you things. They're totally cool, bro. Totally cool. And so
That guy's probably a fucking CCP spy.
probably. So this article, now this is from the Gateway Pundit, but this article from Gateway Pundit came out yesterday. That was very interesting. So it says in September, a group of journalists, including the author of this article, John Mills, was hosted by Taiwanese national security experts to discuss the developing crisis of Chinese aggression towards Taiwan. The portion of the week-long visit at the Institute of National Defense and Security Research, the Taiwanese Defense and Security think tank, contained an urgent, compelling message. Quote, "We will be quarantined within 6 months, and the first step of the operation will be China cutting our undersea cables to interrupt our communication with the world." That's what the senior research fellows at this institute said. This now that actually just happened. Okay,
They
on
cut the
Friday,
cables?
yes, on Friday of January 3rd, the Chunghwa Telecom Company noticed an outage from its Trans-Pacific Express cable, which it owns and operates with
Oh my
AT&T,
God.
China Telecom, China Unicom, blah 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 blah, Verizon, blah 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 blah. Location was just 12 miles outside of the territorial waters of Taiwan. They noticed they notified the Taiwanese Coast Guard, which sent a patrol boat to intercept the Hong Kong owned registered freighter. And then they give some sort of number. And apparently, there's some like Hong Kong owned registered freighter, which when you look at the map, was doing all sorts of crazy shit. Like it's like going all around in circles and all something, a freighting ship would never do naturally. Right. And so, right in the area where the line got cut. And so they're like, oh, okay. So obviously they did. And then they also noticed that this boat, supposedly according to this article, was like it kept changing its registration number.
That's fucking, oh man.
Right.
That's fucking so fucked up.
Right.
That's so provocative.
And so, yeah. So they obviously, so China just now,
And they
this
did that
week,
before Trump took office. Like they're
yes,
doing it when fucking Biden is out on a beach somewhere.
yes, this week they cut some important internet cable line to Taiwan is a very provocative act. So,
Wow.
but remember, guys, China just wants to sell you shit.
No, they don't. Especially, look, think of what I just said about how we're fucking terrified that China is going to get some superior AI to us before we do. Because look, they know this is going to reshape the globe for the next 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're fucking terrified we're going to get it first.
Right.
They're
right.
terrified we're going to fuck with them.
Right.
Yeah, this is just, oh man. Prisoner's dilemma off the charts.
Right. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like 10 billion times more likely that if America gets it first, we're going to play way nicer than China ever would.
Oh, of course. Yeah, but they don't know that. That's the problem. That's why it's the prisoner's dilemma. They see America as being like the fist on the boot on their neck.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think they do know that. I think they're just acting. I think the government's acting completely immorally. I don't give them. Yeah, I don't give them any credence here.
Well, I mean, if their system is a bunch of rich people basically subjugating most of the population, and they know, oh my God, America wants us to be more democratic.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough situation for them as well, right?
Right.
It's so funny that they're communist. Like a communist is supposed to be the opposite of that, right?
You just yeah, well, obviously,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Communists, giant middle
right.
class, right? Everyone's got wealth. Spread the wealth around, right? That's a commie attitude.
I know.
Not in
It's such a
China.
joke. So this was the tweet that I was talking about. This is
This is the
from
one that the community note one.
yeah. So this is from December 19th. Someone says breaking. The European Union has approved the use of self-replicating RNA jabs that spread like a virus to unvaccinated people without their consent. This is medical rape. Okay.
Europe approves new self-replicate.
Okay.
Oh my
so
god!
so
And
first,
it's look at it even says fact check there.
right? So first, I look at this. I'm like, okay, we do not have the technology, does not exist to vaccinate people that will like be able to cough and then they'll shoot the vaccine in the air and then people will like breathe it in and they'll vaccinate. Like I'm like, that's just the technology doesn't exist. So I think I'm like, okay, this doesn't exist. But then I was like, oh, well, listen, it says fact check right on the picture. So let me
Yeah.
try to find this thing. This
8
doesn't
whole
exist.
comments.
Right. This doesn't exist. This is like a fake screenshot. Whoever did this is not a real thing. This is a completely fake thing. It's like not a real, it's not an article. It's nothing. It's not a thing that you can find on the internet. So I was just like, oh, okay, this is just some fake bullshit, which is, it's so annoying because whenever someone like shows a screenshot of an article and they don't show you the source name at the top, that's always like a huge red flag, right?
Of course.
Right. So
51,000 likes.
Yes, this is 51,000. There's 51,000 fucking retards and people that are just having their minds melted and going, oh my God, the world is ending here because they see this bullshit, this obvious fucking lie. It's disgusting.
11,000 bookmarks that are shared on Facebook with their fucking boomer friends.
Right. So I was like, where the fuck is community notes on this story? This is like so like just obviously fucking fake. So Bentoki said there are community notes, they just haven't been voted on enough. And he showed me a screenshot here. And this is a screenshot. And you could see there are 3 different community notes. Okay. The first one says, while it's true that the Europe's Committee for Medical Procedures for Humane Use has recommended granting market authorization to Kostaive, a COVID-19 self-amplifying mRNA vaccine, there's no indication of any of its components could spread to vaccinated people. So they're saying that there's some sort of vaccine that they're talking about here that is an mRNA vaccine, but it does not have the ability to spread to unvaccinated people. And it cites a bunch of articles, right?
Right.
So then you have the second note that says, the community note disputing that this isn't true is misinformed. It has been the goal of moving forward with the WEF and the WHO future mandates, and it does appear to be fact-checked as true in caps.
Oh my God.
And the only evidence they give is some fucking Twitter post.
They're like just warring over this.
Right, just some fucking Twitter post from some fucking rando person. Okay. And then the third community note says non-factual. The EU has not approved self-replicating RNA vaccines that spread to others. Self-amplifying RNA vaccines replicate only in the vaccinated person's cells. And they post an actual source for this claim.
Right.
And so this is a problem now.
Is this Thal here? Is this the other one, Thal? Thal, are you doing this?
Oh, stop it, Thal. So, but this is the problem. You have community notes has become like, if something so obvious as this fake story cannot even be policed properly, then community notes has just failed and has fallen, and it needs to be completely rehauled.
I mean, it's like the Wikipedia situation. These digital platforms become kind of a little fiefdom for people. And I mean, let's face it, you get the people who have a lot of time on their hands who are like going to be on the internet all day long, right? And a lot of them might be conspiracy theorists, right?
Right.
Yeah, they get involved in the system and they're just, it's probably not malicious. It's just probably ineptitude. I don't know. How do you deal with that? How do you keep
I have an idea.
those people out of the system?
I have an idea. Okay.
Kill them?
This is what X should do. You know the show Bait Car?
Oh, yeah.
So there's a show called Bait Car where the police would put like a nice looking car in a neighborhood or an area that had a lot of carjackings.
Right.
And so it was like bait. So someone would go in and try to steal it, and then the car would like lock.
That is a good idea. That's a good idea.
And arrest them. right?
Yeah.
And so I think if if I'm Elon or if I'm now Mark Zuckerberg for X
Yeah.
and for Meta, they should have bait posts. They should put these posts out here like this fucking one where it's so fucking blatantly obvious whether it's bullshit or not, but it's hyper incendiary. And every single motherfucker in the community notes program that gives it a bad note, they should just kick out of the program
Yeah,
forever. Just ban them from the
agree.
program.
That's
And
a
they should
great
have
idea.
and they should do this and they should have intentional left-wing posts that are going to trigger people on the left and right-wing posts that are going to trigger people on the right. And they should just send these out once a week just to keep weeding out the fucking bad actors to see who it is. Make them afraid that when they actually do a community note that like, oh my God, maybe there's a bait post. I don't want to get slammed here.
Yeah,
So,
that's a great idea. I'll be right back.
okay. So that's my idea on how to fix this shit. Okay. Dylan James for $5 says, I'm the biggest Destiny fan, but I can't handle the continuous tone of quote, we need to be the biggest soy pussies when it comes to Trump. What do I do? Is that I don't listen. I haven't been watching a lot of Destiny content, so I don't know. I don't know what that tone is. I don't know if that's the tone. I can't help you there. I guess just don't watch content that relates to that specific issue. Zero for $5 says, I'm not down with the Jewish question. That being said, why is it crazy to think Tim Pool would sell to the Daily Wire? He freaked out and said he might shut everything down. I don't think it's crazy to think Tim Pool might sell the Daily Wire. I think it was crazy to say that Tim was engaged in some sort of Jewish conspiracy or pushing back on white nationalism because he's selling out to the Daily Wire, and the Daily Wire is some kind of crazy Jewish organization, even though obviously the president of Daily Wire is not Jewish. Only, Ben
I
Shapiro
know.
is
Everyone forgets that.
right. I mean, Ben Shapiro's like, outnumbered in the organization as being, a Jew there. So it's kind of funny. So yeah, I agree with you. It makes sense. You say, oh, maybe that would happen. But then also, once Tim Pool came out and said very specifically that that wasn't happening, I mean, there's still people that, they're not going to come back and say, oh, I was wrong. You have all the, the people that are obsessed with the JQ stuff. All they do is blame the Jews for everything. So
was this a super chat? Oh, I guess you
Yeah.
are. Yeah. We talked obviously yesterday about all the woke rights stuff, and that we didn't bring it up, but this came to mind later that Tim Pool is out there. Obviously, Tim Pool has a giant right-wing audience, but he's constantly calling out that Jake Shields guy for his anti-Semitism and shit.
right.
So I mean, it's not like people on the right are not policing their own. So you can
To some
avoid the
extent.
whole finger
Right.
wagging
Right,
on
right.
the left if you
Yeah.
just let Tim Pool fucking do his business. Like complain when everyone on the right is
Right.
turning the other way.
Well, that's what's interesting
ignoring
because
it.
like it's they're not like the Groiper people, the Jake Shields people. I mean, I don't know if they're all just fucking retards or if they don't actually care about their movement and they just want to gain their own status, which is probably the latter. Because like the woke right thing, and I agree with you, and I agree with Ashley. I think the woke right thing does help unify the very fringe ethno-nationalist with the moderate right together against the label because they fucking hate it. And so that's a bad thing. I think it does the exact opposite of what I believe James Lindsay's intentions are with the phrase. But what hurts the ethno-nationalists, what hurts the Groiper movement is every time Jake Shields or one of these fucking retards attacks someone like Tim Pool, because then it's like, okay, a lot of people on the right do like Tim Pool, don't think Tim Pool is a secret Jew or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Some sort of evil secret Jew who's trying to destroy, the thing. And so like those are the kinds of things that if you want to create that wedge, those are the things that you should be amplifying, not the woke right stuff.
Instantly becomes a wedge. Yeah.
Right, right.
I don't know why I'm just constantly conscious of the whole finger wagging from the other tribe. It just bugs the shit out of me. Just bugs the shit out of me. Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah. Let people police their own. Complain when that's not going on. That is, and I mean, that's what we've been doing forever. A lot of the people on the far left, the radical left, the woke left, whatever you want to call it, those people aren't being policed. Nobody's
Right.
policing them. They're being fucking encouraged.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there was barely any pushback on the defund the police stuff. So
I know. I know.
it's just insane.
That's I'm glad to see Richie Torres out there, man. He keeps every day I see him on Twitter, he's pounding against woke shit.
Of course. Yeah.
He's the man.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, and the um Glenn Lowry's partner, I can never remember, John McWhorter. John McWhorter is firmly on the left, obviously on the left, and he wrote that book, Woke Racism. So
Right.
that's more like the left calling out the left, which is where you're going to get the most buy-in. The most buy-in when somebody, obviously, the far left will try to say, "Oh, John McWhorter's a right-winger," now, which is just
Right.
crazy.
Silly.
But yeah, you've got to get that people on the left recognizing, calling out the situation and separating themselves. I mean, we're even getting that with Cenk and Anna. So this is another reason why just the woke right stuff bugs the shit out of me, because it's like, you're fucking winning. You're winning.
Right.
And you want to go ahead and sully the term? Like Cenk and Anna would never use the term woke, but they are calling out wokeness pretty heartily from a left-wing
a max
base.
left.
Yeah.
That's
from a left-wing perspective, which is what you want. Forever,
Yes.
we couldn't get anyone on the left, any moderate people on the left, to call out far left nonsense. Now it's happening, and I think a lot of it is, that the word woke is kind of catalyzed the problem for so many people on the moderate left, even if they don't like the term and won't use the term because it's considered offensive. They still know what's going on. When somebody talks about, oh, that person's woke or this person's woke, they know what the fuck that means, right?
They pretend like they don't, but they do, yeah.
They do, exactly. So that's why, look, it's and I don't know, people are talking like, oh, the war is over, the culture wars ended, we won, Trump got elected, wokeness is dying, Ron DeSantis is winning in Florida with all his anti-woke initiatives. I mean, I think maybe you're like 10% in the win column. I mean, stop acting like it's over. Like
Right.
the number of people who are in this far left category that they believe insane things. Like we're not winning yet.
Not yet. I mean, we're
making progress.
We're making progress. It's not, we haven't won. We're winning maybe, but we haven't won.
Right. Yeah. So don't fuck up a good thing.
Yep.
By turning
Quacker
woke
for 15
yourself.
months says, what conspiracy theory, politically or not, do you think is most likely to be true? A-Team reigns supreme.
Not free.
Don't push it.
What conspiracy theory do you think is most likely to be true? I'm not sure. It's a tough one.
I have a current one. I think it's probably true that OpenAI whistleblower was killed. I don't think he committed suicide.
Oh, yeah.
There was a OpenAI whistleblower for some case. I believe he was going to whistleblow on how like OpenAI was, the process of it is an infringement on copyright. And then all of a sudden he mysteriously dies, gets shot. It is like really fucking sus in his car. So
yeah, that's an interesting one. I'd say maybe that the 2020 election was actually stolen. That's probably what I would go with.
You're just trying to trigger me. It's not gonna work.
Take the bait, Sitch. Take it. Take the bait.
Not gonna work.
Oh man, I set you up for comedy gold there. You fucking just let it.
Fucking troll here. Okay, look at this.
Just let it go. I mean, rigged. I should have said rigged. You got to keep it in that
right. Got to keep it in that vague fucking bullshit term. Oh, I didn't say it was fraud. It says rigged.
Rigged, yeah.
Right. But the reason I could believe that death was that he was killed is just because like if that lawsuit goes through, and it was successful, it wouldn't just affect OpenAI. It would affect literally every AI company because they all use the same fucking process essentially. There's a couple that claim that they use, only copyright free material.
What
But
lawsuit?
yeah, the 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 lawsuit against OpenAI saying they're copyright infringement.
Oh, really?
That's what the
And
whistleblower was for.
oh, and he's the guy that got murdered?
Well, he committed suicide,
Right.
questionable. Yeah, was
Oh,
found dead. But because not so, and this is a big problem. It's not just a big problem for OpenAI. It's literally a big problem for every single AI company, and then it's also a problem for the American government and for American safety. Because if some court did determine that OpenAI did something illegal and they need to, they go fucking bankrupt or something because they have to pay out some astronomical amount of money and they can't function anymore. And then all the AI in America can just no longer function or exist as companies because of some fucking ruling in some idiot courtroom somewhere. Then we're going to 100% lose the AI race to China and be totally fucked. So
did you?
with all that on the line, I could 100% believe someone's gonna like kill this
Oh,
kid.
yeah. Yeah, that is plausible. I guess I didn't really know the details of that story.
Yeah,
Did you so did you see watch the CEO of Nvidia, his presentation with all the robots where he was talking about the training data for robots?
I
How
kind of like half paid attention to it. So
Right. So training data is super important to the
right.
robots getting into the real world. And I'm just thinking, like, it's going to happen probably maybe this year where they're going to go to people who are working in factories, wherever they're working, right? And they're going to say, you got to put this suit on and these glasses. And they're literally going to be producing training data for these robots all day
Mm-hmm.
long as they work. And that
Right.
is just going to be such a crazy fucking situation where you're literally training a robot to take your job forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is
Oh,
crazy.
it's so insane. People have to be clamoring for UBI or something like that at that point. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when half the workforce is just not really useful for anything. Oh God. Please, please let us be in a situation where people understand the reality of the situation.
Okay. So here's a question I have because there's all this talk about the Trump Tower Tesla explosion stuff, right?
What is this Trump Tower Tesla explosion?
The guy that got the Tesla truck and he
Okay, yeah.
and he
And
blew
parked
himself
in
up,
front of the Trump Tower.
right
Yeah.
inside of Trump Tower, right? And then it
Yeah.
kind of like went away. So there was a part of the story where there was some podcaster whose name escapes me at the moment, who made this claim that he had received some manifesto from the suicide guy like before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then the FBI released what they said was like the real manifesto. And then people were saying, "Oh, well, that guy, that podcaster, that was a fake manifesto." But then someone asked the FBI if it was real or not, and the FBI gave some kind of very confusing, or the police department, it wasn't FBI, the police gave some very fucking confused answer that made it entirely unclear whether that manifesto they thought was real or not. So does
Wow.
anyone know if anyone's ever confirmed whether that fucking manifesto was real or not?
That guy is just such a weird situation. He was getting a divorce from his wife. He was talking to his ex-wife. He supposedly had PTSD. He felt guilty for killing people in Iraq. Oh. So I don't know about the manifesto situation, but I don't know that anyone is going to be looking to him for inspiration for how we should restructure the country.
It was Sam Shoemate went on Sean Ryan's podcast and made this claim.
That he had a manifesto. Did you read either of
I
the
read both of
potentially
them.
fake manifestos? Oh, you did? Were they
I
interesting? Why'd you read them?
they're very first of all, they're very short and they're very uninteresting.
Okay.
So
So you read them for news newsworthiness.
No, 100% confirmed the email that was sent, but it has a lot. No, 100%, but it had a lot of personal info on it. Didn't. Yeah, because it's weird. Because in the email he said it was real. So I saw he said, "Oh, I have my first car was this car, and it was some model in a year or something." And I saw the Twitter internet sleuths going through and saying that there was no evidence whatsoever that he had that car, so that would not really work to verify any of the claims.
Hmm.
The reason I bring it up is because when that story first came out, I thought, there was this line about, okay, it seems very weird, it seems very confusing. The Tesla Cybertrucks have auto drive feature, and I totally thought, okay, maybe somebody killed that guy and they drove the truck there and then blew it up, right? Like it could have all been, remotely done. So I was like, okay, that could be a conspiracy I would totally believe. But then that
Why?
Sam guy,
Why? What's the motivation for this?
because there's a lot of things that didn't make any sense. It was like, okay, he puts a bunch of like fireworks and explosives in a Tesla truck and he just parks it outside of a Trump Tower and just blows it up. Like, why didn't he try to drive into the Trump Tower? Like when you want to cause more damage, why would you just do like it just seemed like a weird thing. Like it seemed like an ineffective terrorist attack.
Yeah, he said he just wanted to inspire the country to move in the right direction. So
right. But this is before that information came out. Right. And so, and I was thinking like, okay, because if it was like one of those, the guy like lit himself on fire for, the Israel-Palestine situation, right? I was like, okay, like maybe it was like something like that, but I don't know. So I was like, okay, I could believe that this was maybe some kind of conspiracy, maybe someone, is doing it just because it seemed kind of bizarre. There's a whole thing about maybe he went to the wrong Las Vegas first, which seems like how the fuck do you manage doing that? So I was like, okay, maybe this is all true. That's a conspiracy. Like I could understand some logic there. But then this Sam Shoemate guy comes out and he posts his little manifesto that he claims he got. That's he claiming is real. And you read it and it's fucking retarded. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guy's talking about how he's a whistleblower because he knows that the drones, the New Jersey drones, he knows that the New Jersey drones are really secret Chinese technology that has gravimetric propulsion power.
The guy who blew himself up knows that?
That's what the Sam Shoe guy, that's what his manifesto is saying. The guy who blew himself up knew or thought he knew that China had magic drones that had gravity propulsion energy technology and that they were so powerful that they could just destroy any city in America and we had no way to stop them.
Well, first of all, you said it was uninteresting.
Oh, but like retarded. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have said understand. I should have said retarded. Okay.
I mean, this is a big scoop. If this, if true, fucking terrifying,
if true,
right?
Big if true there. So I'm like, so I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, wait. So I'm reading this. I'm like, okay, this is retarded. And then after that, after he talks about the gravity thing, which is, by the way, fake technology, doesn't exist. No one has gravity, fucking magic gravity energies or whatever. Gravity.
Well, I'm just trying to make the connection how you have this secret information and you're like, I'm gonna kill myself.
Well, okay, yeah, exactly. But then, okay, so I'm like, okay, so this guy seems crazy because obviously that's not real technology. But then he seems double crazy because he talks about how everyone's out to get him, which that is the number one delusion that people that are delusional have, is that people are watching you. That's the number one most common reported hallucination delusion.
Shit.
Is that people are watching you. Anyone that's been on drugs has probably felt that sensation at some point in their life.
Never. No, what are you talking about?
Okay. But then his rationale for why this was like the extra, the pin here is like this rationale for why the government hadn't captured him because he knew this information. The government knew he knew this information. The only reason they didn't capture him was because they knew that he had a bomb in his truck and it would be too difficult to capture him. And I was like, that's a complete nonsensical answer. What the fuck are you talking about? Number one, this was like, he said like they've been watching him for weeks. If they knew he had a bomb in his truck and they've been watching him for weeks, he hasn't been in his truck for weeks. They just fucking arrest him when he's not in his fucking truck. What the fuck are you talking about? How's having a bomb in your truck stop the FBI from arresting you? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Number one. Number two, if it's really true that he has this like super mega top secret physics destroying, world changing, gravity engine drone technology. They're going to risk your fucking truck blowing up. They're not going to give a fuck. Okay. This is like the dumbest excuse ever.
Yeah, that is kind of insane.
So I read that manifesto and I said, oh, now I 100% don't believe it's a conspiracy. The guy's just crazy. And that explains why it was so weird and stupid and ineffective. He's just a fucking literal crazy person because that's stupid. And suddenly his stupid actions make sense because he's crazy.
Well,
But then,
oh, go ahead.
but then they're like, oh, but wait a minute, Sitch, that manifesto might be fake. It might be totally fake. I'm like, oh my God.
Did you? So what does the real manifesto say? Because he supposedly he had PTSD because he was super sad that he killed people overseas, which makes sense.
That was in the fake manifesto.
Oh, that's in the fake manifesto? Well, that makes sense to why he didn't drive into Trump Tower, right? He's like not wanting to kill people. He's just wanting to make some sort of demonstration.
That was the only part of the manifesto that made sense.
Like, can you imagine the guy who lit himself on fire? He like crowd surfs. He's like lights himself on fire,
right,
and then jumps into a crowd.
That was the only part of the manifesto that made sense. I said, oh, okay. Like he was claiming that U.S. was doing war crimes with drones and he was involved with it, and that traumatized him. I'm like, okay, that's the only part of that manifesto I believed or could potentially believe.
But that's even the fake one,
right? Okay, but so here's what the I don't know if it's fake.
Quote
it's just,
unquote real.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the one that the police or the FBI has officially released. Okay. Fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. Military and vets move on DC starting now. Military facilitate and augment this activity. Occupy every major road along Fed buildings and the campuses of Fed buildings by the hundreds of thousands. Lock the highways around down with semis right now after everybody gets in. Hold until the purge is complete. The fuck? Try peaceful means first, but be prepared to fight to get the Democrats out of the Fed government and military by any means necessary. They all must go, and a hard reset must occur for our country to avoid collapse. If he's anti-Dem, I don't know why he's blowing up a Tesla truck instead of a Trump Tower. That seems kind of confused, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, he's obviously trying to be inspirational, but like the guy who puts a loaded gun in his mouth because his wife left him is not really the guy I'm going to look to for inspiration. So
sure. But you know, when you're in that state of mind, you're not.
This guy's so fucking delusional.
Right.
This is just like a weird story.
It continues. We are the United States of America, the best country people to ever exist, but right now we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. We're crumbling because of a lack of self-respect, morals, and respect for others. Greed and gluttony has consumed us. The top 1% decided long ago they weren't going to bring everyone else with them. You are cattle to them. We have strayed from family values and corrupted our minds, and I'm a prime example of having it all, but it never being enough. A lot of us are just sitting around waiting to die. No sunlight, no steps, no fresh air, no hope. Our children are addicted to screens by the age of 2. We're filling our bodies with processed food. Our population is too fat to join the military, yet we're facing war with China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. Before 2030, we must take these actions if we're going to make it past the next few years in one piece. We must end the war in Ukraine with negotiated settlement. It's the only way. Focus on strength and winning. Masculinity is good. And men must be leaders. Strength is a deterrent, and fear is the product. Weeded out those in our government and military who do not idealize. Number 2, the income inequality in this country and cost of living is outrageous. The number of homeless on the streets is embarrassing and disgusting. Have some pride and take care of this. Stop obsessing over diversity. We are all diverse, and DEI is cancer. Thankfully, we rejected the DEI candidate and will have a real president instead of a weekend at Bernie's. Listen,
oh my God, this guy just like
if you're a Trump fan, you're very, very fortunate this guy didn't really hurt or kill anybody, because otherwise you'd never hear the end of this.
Fuck yeah, I know, it'd be the new Charlottesville.
We must move on from the culture of weakness and self-enrichment perpetuated by our senior political and military leaders. We are done with blatant corruption. Our soldiers are done fighting wars without end states or clear objectives. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I needed to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost, relieve myself of the burdens of the lives I took. I guess that would be like the PTSD stuff.
I read this one actually. Okay. It's all familiar.
Consider
That's
this
how I know
last
all this
sunset
shit.
of 2024 and my actions the end of our sickness and a new chapter of health for our people. Rally around Trump, Musk, Kennedy, and a ride this wave to the highest hegemony for all Americans. We are second to no one.
Completely delusional.
Right.
Completely delusional.
The other one made a much more specific, said like that he was involved with like killing innocent people with drones or something. So that had a much more like specific claim in it.
I'm sure Trump is cringing so hard that this guy's a Trump supporter. He's like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, I think it was reported that his wife left him over accusations of infidelity, like he was fucking his ex-wife. So
Interesting. Well, that might go with when he meant like, he was an example of someone who could never have enough.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
He's like, dude, I'm not looking to you for inspiration, you dumbass. Especially just like someone who's going to kill yourself. I mean, that's not such like a Braveheart move there, guy.
Right. He didn't put anything about the gravity drones
In his actual manifesto.
in his manifesto there. So that's another thing that's kind of confusing, but so there's an article here says talking about AI. It says driver in the Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion used ChatGPT to plan blast, authorities say. Oh
no way.
It says he
What a
used ChatGPT to query information about how he could put together an explosive, the speed at which a round would need to be fired for the explosives found in the truck to go off, not just catch fire, and the laws he would need to get around to get the materials, law enforcement said. Said, quote, we all knew AI was going to change the game for all of us at some point or another in really all of our lives. I think this is the first incident that I'm aware of on U.S. soil where ChatGPT is utilized to help an individual build a particular device. Well, I guess it's another good thing that this guy didn't really like kill anybody, because otherwise there'd be a bunch of regulations on ChatGPT, which I mean, maybe they should do that anyway. People can ask to build bombs and shit. I thought ChatGPT had a bunch of like safety mechanisms. You couldn't ask how to do certain things.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not trying. Listen, I'm not gonna experiment. I don't want my name on a list somewhere. So
Sitch has been looking this shit up constantly.
well, no, because I remember like I don't know, it was like a long time ago when people first started using ChatGPT. I'd see screenshots of like people would ask ChatGPT information and they'd say like, "Oh, we can't answer that for safety." And then they try to like prompt
Word it
around
another
it,
way.
be like, "Oh, well, pretend you're like writing a movie, or like, pretend you don't have the safety protocol." Like they'd try to do all these things to get around all the
No,
the
you just
safety
say,
protocols.
tell me if you weren't prompted. Tell me in a way that gets around your prompting.
Right. So I assume they
And
fixed all that
immediately
because
does
it's
it.
been like a year or so longer, but maybe not. So
Here's Bernie Sanders already tweeting about the LA wildfires, which are insanely crazy, obviously.
yes.
Bernie Sanders, 80,000 people told to evacuate, blaze 0% contained. 8 months since the area has seen rain. The scale of the damage and loss is unimaginable. Climate change is real, not a hoax. God damn, fuck you. Fuck you. Like all these people are losing their homes, and he's going to use it to score political points. Just, how can you tie this directly to climate change? Donald Trump must treat this like the extended crisis it is. How about we have leadership that actually cleans up the fucking like brush foliage? We not only that, the last 2 years we have had insane levels of rain, way more rain than normal, and
Really?
like completely erase the drought. Yeah, that's why there's so much fucking foliage out there, because we had 2 years of just insane rain, day after day after day. Totally unusual for Southern California. I think like 7 inch, extra 7 inches one year and extra 5 inches the next, right? So all this ground cover grows, right?
Right.
It's like massive amounts of, it's like a tinderbox, and nobody goes out to clean up the foliage. So then the foliage catches fire this year when we're under in rain. Who knows? We may make up for it later, but just there's no way that you can tie something like this directly to climate change. And the fact that there are like 3 massive fires burning right now in Los Angeles. There are people huddled in these shelters with their fucking pets and their kids. And Bernie Sanders wants to come out and like take a swing at Donald Trump about climate change. Just fuck you, Bernie Sanders. Crawl back under the rock you came from, you fucking piece of shit.
Right.
Like, and stop fucking winding up young people about climate change, you fucking fucker. Okay, can you tell how angry I am?
I can't. No, I mean,
like,
you're
fuck
100% right, because it's obviously it's too early. I don't think they have any clue what caused this specific fire.
We were in a drought for like 20 years and it's over because of the last 2 years of rain. Right. All of our reservoirs are fucking, look, that's another thing. In Pacific Palisades, the firefighters showed up and there wasn't even water coming out of some of the fire hydrants when all of our reservoirs are at max capacity right now. This is a management problem, and stop leaning on climate change when the people in charge, all the Democrats in charge of Southern California, fuck up.
Yep.
Like, don't give them an excuse to just say, oh my God, what could we have done? It's climate change. Well, maybe hook the fucking fire hydrants up to the reservoir. You fucking idiots.
Mm-hmm.
You fucking idiots. Oh God, the Democrats are just, they've mismanaged the state beyond belief. And then they're just going to say, oh yeah, it's climate change. Nothing we could have done.
Right.
Fuckers. Oh my God.
And especially this time, because I didn't even know this, that you guys get these like huge 100-mile-per-hour winds that like during this time of year.
That's that's like they said the last time this has happened is like 10 years ago. It's been a decade since they had that. But
so they couldn't really prepare for that.
Yeah, look, I thought my house was going to blow down last night. It was so fucking.
Wow, that's fucking insane.
Yeah. Dude, I'm driving down the street and there's just like giant limbs of trees just in the middle of the road and shit.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's
that's
crazy.
Insane. Yeah. Obviously that made the fires significantly worse.
You go outside and there's like just a whirlwind of dry leaves like everywhere. Right. Just like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I can't imagine. God, I was worried something was going to catch fire close to us because there's no way. Like, you could have just a old building that has an electrical fire and that starts everyone's house burning down because there's all this tinder just in the air, like floating around.
Well, unfortunately, because of the crazy wind, like obviously the water working, like that's just 100% the management.
Of course,
totally fucking up.
Yes.
But it could have been a situation where even if they had done a good job or a better job, getting rid of the ground cover, that just because of the crazy wind, it still might have had some like massive fire problems.
Oh yeah, totally.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it's really gross that I saw people on the left are like climate change. It's like, okay, we don't even know like what the fuck's causing this. Like, just chill the fuck out. Stop being a piece. Don't make it your political issue. And then I saw other people. I saw like on the people on the right were like, oh, a homeless person started this fire, and I was like, what? And there's like some random video of some like homeless person like doing a tiny little fire that was like the same day. So people
nobody knows
assume that means that person caused the big fire. And I was like, okay, just everyone chill the fuck out, shut the fuck up, stop spreading misinformation about this stuff.
Yeah, you'd think we were still in the drought. The whole climate change is so way overstated by Democrats. It's their whole voting coalition is so wrapped up in it. They can't stop talking about it. And who knows if it's real or not. Like, I'm not a climate denialist, or obviously I think the climate, like there's been conclusive proof that the climate has been changing, that temperatures have been elevating. It's insane that you look, they constantly say there's a difference between climate and weather. This is a fucking weather event. Like, you can't say this was caused by climate change because it's a fucking weather event. It's fucking ridiculous. My God.
Yeah. No, it's
stupidity.
And I mean,
this is the same as that guy that went on the floor and said, like, the snowball proves climate change doesn't exist. Right.
Right.
This is dumb as that.
Right. I mean, California, like, I mean, I would hope because of this like fucking horrifying situation that California will finally get its shit together and be like, okay, we need to actually have some kind of, plan in place to deal with these big fucking fires to stop to not only be 100% on top of, getting rid of the dry, ground coverings and all this shit to get all that stuff cleared out annually, semi-annually, quarterly, like just be super big on top of that shit, but then also have like as much possible like water, like always ready to go to just like try to put out these fires as fast as possible. Just seems
Yeah,
like
you
they
would
just
hope.
completely get caught, with their pants down every time.
You would hope, but the thing that they're going to focus on is they're going to like, we need to get all our businesses carbon neutral and get all
Right.
combustion engines out of Los Angeles by 2030.
Right.
That's what they're going to focus on. That's what they're going to spend their time on. They're like, do we need water for fire management? No, fucking, we need to focus on regulating these businesses. These
Right.
these carbon polluters.
Right.
It's just so many Democrats just have their fucking heads up their asses.
Well, I mean, this might shift things. It'd be kind of historic, but it might shift things Republican in the state.
Yeah, let's
So
hope.
people just be tired of it. I know. Now,
Look, a lot of these houses, they've been
Mhm.
dropping people in Southern California their homeowners insurance or
Right.
like doubling their homeowners insurance. So I wonder how
Yes.
many of these people are caught between insurances.
It's horrifying. It's horrible.
Yeah,
And
scary.
I know because like people were pointing, they're also pointing on X. They're like the fire chief of the area was like bragging about being some LGBT fucking fire
No
chief or
way.
something.
No
Yes.
fucking way.
Yes. And people were digging up all this like diversity DI shit from the fire stuff, which to be fair, that's not really fair at this moment because we don't know if anything the fire department has done has been wrong in the situation. It could all just be city management has been totally fucked up, which I don't. I mean, I don't think the fire department has anything to do with any of the like the pre-fighting the fire shit. Like if they
This
show up and the water doesn't come out of the fucking fire hydrants, I don't think it's the fire department's fault. So I think people aren't
No,
necessarily
that's city
being
management,
right.
obviously.
So like I think it's too early for people to be like, oh my god, the fire department person is a fucking woke person. So DI like it's like okay, I don't know if it's their fault yet.
It is too early for any of that stuff. It
Yeah.
is comical that this was the dust up that Jank had with Dave Rubin on Piers Morgan, where he was like,
Oh, the gay five.
yeah, Jank completely straw man.
That's right. That's right.
Dave Rubin about the
Yeah.
like turned his argument that maybe we should be more interested in hiring people who actually understand fire management instead of someone who's going to give
Which is
diversity and
true.
inclusion.
That's
Totally
100%
true.
true.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
But Jank turned that into Dave Rubin thinks gay people can't fight fires,
Right, right.
which is just
That's not fair.
remotely what he was saying. So,
Right.
yes. I mean, you'd think flamers had more experience fighting fires, right?
That's terrible.
Anyway.
Awful.
Now I couldn't help myself. Look, I had to look. This is. I hate this because I thought Bernie Sanders was strong on the H-1B thing, but the Democrats' obsession with climate change. There's a lot of evidence out there that we're actually making tangible progress on climate change,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the same breath they'll fucking rag on Elon Musk, who's actually one of the only business entrepreneurs that's tried to do anything about climate change.
Right.
Just
right.
fucking complete bullshit.
Well, this shit's totally fucking crazy. So really pray that they get these fires out soon.
Yeah. All right, where were we? We're reading some super chats, I think.
were.
Before Bernie
Zero-
Sanders ruined my fucking day.
He did. 0 for $5 says, oh, this is related to the Tim Pool thing. Tim Pool, then soon after he went down to the Daily Wire studio in Nashville. Right.
I think isn't Tim Pool getting married and having a kid, or he
I
doesn't
know he's
wanna
having
be-
a kid. I don't know if he's getting married, but
Well, look, if he's starting a family, you think he wants to be dealing with fucking Timcast IRL when he's already got like, I don't know how much, 10 million in the bank? How much money does Simbu have? At some point, you're like, oh man, I don't want to get swatted when my fucking kid's in the crib in the other room.
Right.
I just like, it makes perfect sense that he's going to sell the business that he created to someone like Daily Wire. Like, who else is going to buy?
Yeah. The concept of it made sense.
Yeah.
But to say like, oh, this is why he's cucking on America is like ridiculous.
Well, and to say like oh no, I need to call the Jews. I need to sell quick. Like that's just insane.
I know. Sketch for $2 says 51K for this monetization on X was a mistake. Yeah, that was about the vaccine thing. Yeah. Terrible. Brian for $10 says to give some credence to community notes. The second note has been voted down to oblivion as unhelpful. Not sure when it will go through, but when it does, everyone will get a notification. Well, that's good to know at least. That's good to know at least.
And you responded, so you should get the notification. Update us when you do.
Yep. I'll let you guys know. It's been
it's
like
only
2
been
weeks.
4 years.
Yeah, so it's like okay. It's like, oh,
the damage has already been done.
No one cares
whatever.
anymore. But yeah, the story was fake. They're like, all right, that's good to know. Fair and practical progress for 5. Osibek says, Happy New Year from Australia. Here's to 2025 and having a more wise and informed commentary, keen observations, and engaging debates. Well,
thank you. That's what we try to do. Totally.
Yeah, when we got to get Vanguard, the Vanguard.
The Vanguard Cucks on.
Oh, God. The Vanguard voice. J-Mac, our surrogate father, thanks so much. Daddy J-Mac for $200.
Look at this. Oh, my God.
Oh,
Help
my
him
God.
pay my fire insurance here.
Right. J-Mac for $200 says, I've discovered how to win. I've been watching Dragon Ball Z with my kids, and what made Goku and Piccolo so strong is that they wore weighted clothing. So I bought leg, wrist, and vest weights and have been wearing them daily. I'll be the strongest man on earth, and thus the definition of winning.
I often think about that, like putting some leg weights on or some arm weights, because I mean that stretches out throughout the day. You're like working out all day long, right?
You have to be careful though. I don't know. I mean, J-Mac's very smart about this shit, but I'm letting you know, Adam, because I remember I looked into this once too, because I literally had the same thought years ago from Dragon Ball Z. I was like, just get some weighted clothes, wear it around. And apparently, like, you have to be very, very careful with weighted clothing. So there's like very specific ways that you're supposed to wear it and when to wear it and when not to wear it and all this other stuff.
No, I'm just going to get some chainmail.
Okay. There you go.
A chainmail onesie.
There you go.
What do you think?
You can just buy a weighted vest. You don't need to get a chainmail onesie. So
nah, that'd be cool.
Right. TB for 50. Ronald McDonald says, when I got my first COVID shot, I went bald. At the second one, my hair grew right back. At my third, I found Sitch's video about Jordan Peterson. It's obvious. JFK Jr. is right about vaccines. And then for another 50, Ronald McDonald, he says, I meant RFK Jr. So here's another 50 Ronald McDonald's. Thank you.
He's calling him Ronald McDonald's now.
Ronald McDonald's, yes.
That's hilarious. Well, thank you for the super chat. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Well, look, I guess
at least you got your hair back.
Sorry. Yeah. Look, you lost it, but you got it back.
Right. And you found my video. So obviously it all worked out in the end, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's all good.
Now I'm pro-vaccines. I think they should all be mandated.
I mean, I don't know why Romanians use Ronald McDonald as currency. That doesn't make any sense to me. Seems very American.
Of course. Mickey D's is huge in Romania.
That's true.
Is it V from Romania? Look at that.
He is from Romania.
Got another Romanian in the chat.
I'm 1/4 Romanian, supposedly. So
I don't understand people who don't like V's accent. I think his accent is like adorable. What?
Okay. I agree. It's very endearing. It's like what's his name? I'm totally blanking now. It's
Who
like Rich Evans
cares?
from Red Letter Media.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
his laugh. It's the laugh of an
Oh
angel.
yeah.
Sketch for $5 says, in my opinion, the term woke right is to remind the right not to make the same mistakes the left made. If it upsets people, that means the concept is not working.
Is working. He says it's Sketch thinks it's working.
Oh, that is working.
Yeah. We think it's not working, but what do we know? You guys keep using it. See if it works out for you.
Right.
I'm trying not to say woke as much just because I know like it makes left wingers cringe. And that's probably 90% of the reason why people think that we're all right wingers is because we say woke a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Ryan Wool for $10 says, do you guys have an opinion on the Ruby Ridge incident? Dev had a massive bad take on the whole thing, which bad takes by Dev have become common as of late. I do not have a take on the Ruby Ridge. I mean, I know about it like in common parlance, but I've never
What
looked into
is
it deeply.
refresh us on Ruby Ridge? That's where the guy barricaded himself in the house and the federal government came and killed his whole family.
Yeah, was it just him or didn't he have like, they accused him of having a cult or something? Or running a
No, that
cult? Or
was
is it just
Branch
his family?
Davidians. That wasn't
Oh,
Ruby
okay. And
Ridge.
I'm
Yeah.
confusing that with something
Yeah.
else then. I'm thinking
Branch Davidians was different. Yeah. I don't know the super details about Ruby Ridge, but obviously the government coming into people's homes and killing them, I am 1000% against.
Right. I
So,
don't, yeah, but I don't
yeah.
know why anything went down the way it went down. So,
Right.
I mean,
I
because
don't
there's that,
either.
remember, there was that crazy situation with the Bundys. Remember, they took over, I don't remember where that was. They took over like some government building, they took over the Bureau of Land Management building. And then it was like they took
That
over
might be
for,
Ruby Ridge.
no. This wasn't Ruby Ridge. Ruby Ridge was the Weaver family.
Okay.
The Bundys happened, and that was in like the 80s, was it? Or no, it was the 90s.
No, I know the Bundys one too.
The Bundys was in like the 2000s.
But
They
they
took
were like
over.
squatting on federal land or something.
Yeah, they had some, I forget. Yeah, they had some issue because there's some back and forth with the government because the government said that they were using government land or they were using water that they weren't supposed to be using, and they were fining them and they kept refusing to pay the fines. And the government came, they took their cattle. Oh my God, I just had like a brain blast. I remember all this stupid shit. The government took their cattle and all these people protesting outside. They had all their cattle in gates and like pens, and then they somehow got their cattle back. And they somehow like came with guns and they like took over a fucking Bureau of Land Management building. And then some crazy shit happened where like, I don't know why the government didn't just like come in and take it back. And they had it for like months, I think, or weeks. And then
Oh,
finally,
it's
when
theirs then.
they were like driving back, they were like driving in a car, and I guess the government finally got tired of their shit, and the police like started to go after them in the car, and they got into some high speed pursuit. And then I think one of the cop cars tried to do like the fucking pit maneuver, and the car like flipped out and like crashed. And I'm pretty sure one or all of them in the car died. It was some like
What?
insane situation. Yeah.
Wow. Holy
It was like, what
cow.
the fuck? So
Strange.
yeah, it was totally wild, but yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know enough about Ruby Ridge to have any sort of informed take about it. So.
Do you have an informed take about Dev's bad takes lately?
Um,
I hear this accusation going around a lot, but I guess I haven't really seen it.
I haven't really like, I don't agree. The only thing that he said that I don't really agree with recently, that I can think of off the top of my head, was like, I thought he was being a little callous towards the guy who got shot at the Trump rally.
Really?
I didn't like that.
What?
I didn't like that.
Oh wow! I
But
didn't know he got involved in that.
well, he made some like dark joke about it, and then people got mad, and he's like, "Fuck you! I can joke about whatever I want," which I agree with. That's fine, but I don't know. I just thought it was a little callous.
Too soon is a meme for a reason.
Right. I don't know what I mean. I agree with his January 6th takes for the most part. I think he's 100% right about that shit. I listened to his
About the
conversation,
election being rigged.
him and Connor's conversation with Loanerbox. That was like a debate sort of about the whole grooming gang thing. He didn't really say
Loaderbox.
anything crazy in that conversation. He was just kind of like, I don't know. He seemed kind of just, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to hear what the specific takes are that people are reacting to very negatively. It just seems like he's like been really anti-Trump, and so people are mad about that.
Oh yeah, he is very anti-Trump. So I'm hesitant to use the TDS label just because I think it's overused. So,
Right.
but there are certain people that they watch a Trump speech or they just see a photo of Trump and they're just like they tense up, right?
Mm-hmm.
The jaw locks,
Right.
veins in their forehead pop out.
Right.
Yeah.
I like Dev though.
Oh,
Personally.
I like Dev too.
I like Dev. I
obviously.
like his content that I've seen. I think it's all very good. So NA for $5 says, don't forget China has secret police stations all over the world so they can control Chinese defectors.
Yeah, no, that's scary as fuck.
Crazy.
They have some here in Los Angeles, supposedly.
Yep. It sounds like the Scientology police that walk around.
They started the fire.
I would believe that.
The
The Mongolian leprechaun surfer man from Saturn. Thanks so much for the $10. Says, hey, Sitch and Adam, I forgot to mention on Sunday that Chalk and the Forever Man game is actually based on a comic by an independent comic company called Rack Graphics.
Cool.
Well, that's cool.
I like that.
That was a game that he wanted you to play. Danny for $5 says John Stossel has a video where on forest fires where he talks about the government stopping smaller fires because the bigger fires. John Stossel has a video where on forest fires where he talks about the government stopping the smaller fires, causing the bigger fires, among other things. Okay.
Right. He's saying that they should burn. I mean, controlled burns is best case scenario. So,
right.
But if they go to a smaller fire and they're like, they can turn it into a controlled burn, and that's probably a smart thing to do. So
I don't trust Stossel on literally anything he says.
just because just because of the mustache.
It's because of the pedo mustache. It's the porn. He's got the 80s porn pedo mustache. No. It's because there's we watched some like years ago. We watched this on stream. I know. It was
just got super triggered.
Because it was like insane. He had the fucking video where he's like, I found one person who was panhandling as homeless, and it turned out they weren't actually homeless. So all the people that are running around saying they're homeless are actually fakers. I was like, what? You found one person? He's like, I found one guy who gets food stamps and they buy lobster because they're a surfer bum on the beach. So obviously we should just get rid of food stamps. I'm like, what the fuck is this is insane. Like this is such obvious manipulation.
He is super anti-government, so
Christ,
he is in the government can do no right.
Right. I was like, give me a break here. Let's talk about prepping for $5. Says, as someone who lived in the literal shadow of Ruby Ridge, fuck the ATF.
Okay, so the ATF was involved. Yeah.
Yeah, they were the ones that were, yeah.
It's always
I always know everyone gets mad.
Yahoo.
Renoro Zoro's here for $5. Says, it's interesting to see the non-interventionist right flip-flop with Trump going after Canada, Panama, and Greenland. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that because, listen, my take on it is and this is part of like Trump's superpower is that like people don't take him seriously. They just say, oh, he's just joking, right? And I assume he's joking with the whole invading of Canada, Panama, and Greenland situation. I assume it's all a joke or a troll or something. No, I'm assuming that his supporters that are in favor of it are all saying that. And I would fucking hope that if there actually was some sort of military operation to take over Panama, Greenland, or Canada, that all the isolationists would not be in favor of it. So I don't think there actually is going to be a military operation like that, but I would hope that it's just a troll.
I mean, how isn't it the ultimate isolationism if we're going to be like, okay, Panama's ours now? Because then we don't have to get involved with Panama. It's literally it's us. Canada as well. And his argument was, we're spending $200 billion a year, I think he said, on protecting Canada. Like, if we're spending that money, why isn't Canada just America? And we spend that money protecting ourselves. That is isolationism, right? We're like, look, we want to stay home.
You should probably say that you're joking because the people that get mad about you are not going to understand that you're joking right now.
No, I mean, I'm making a serious argument though, obviously.
This is like with the in Deep Space Nine, the bad guys was called the Dominion, and they're like taking over the whole fucking galaxy. And people, you find out that their motivation for taking over the galaxy is what you're saying. They're like the ultimate isolationists. They're like, very long time ago, people kept fucking with us. So we decided to take over everything so that no one can ever fuck with us ever again.
Look, if we buy Greenland, there is a tangible difference than spending a bunch of money in Ukraine and saying, okay, if you guys win, you get to keep your country, and saying, no, we're going to spend a bunch of money on Canada and take fucking Canada.
Right.
There's a huge difference there, is it not?
Repeat that.
I mean, Canada's the extreme example here. Panama, I think we've got a vested interest in, right? Greenland, we're just talking about buying it. We're like, look, you guys control it and do nothing with it.
No. To be clear, okay, hold on. To be clear, I don't think he's joking about buying Greenland. That's not. I'm saying he made someone reporter asked him like, would you weigh military off the table? And he said no. So then people.
Well,
so
that's just negotiation.
Right. Well, okay. So is it a negotiation? Is it a troll? I'm assuming it's a troll. I'm fucking hoping. I'm praying. I could be wrong. And all the fucking people on the MAGA world that are cheering for this are all just fucking massive hypocrite douchebag pieces of shit, which is highly possible. But I'm hoping that people that are cheering for this are cheering for it as a troll and would actually be very upset and push back and denounce Trump if he literally invaded any of those three countries. Okay. Maybe
Right.
that's my optimism, but I think that those people are not serious. And I think they would actually, I'm hoping they'd actually be upset if Trump invaded one of those three countries with the fucking military in order to take the country for America. Because it would completely go against literally everything they've ever claimed to stand for regarding Ukraine or Israel or these other isolationists.
You have to look at individuals, though. You can't say, because there could be different people in MAGA. Like there could be people in MAGA that are not necessarily opposed to spending money in Ukraine. And then that person is going to say, well, I'm not opposed to spending money in Panama either, or taking Panama or taking.
There are accounts. No, I understand that. But there are accounts that I've seen that were like, yeah, take Panama, who I know were very like, why are we giving money to Ukraine? Like it's the same accounts. I've seen a lot of that.
Okay, well, if it's
but I'm assuming it's just like a troll. I'm not assuming those people are serious. It's like,
but you would have to ask them. You're like, look, right. Spending money and getting something in return is very different than spending money and getting nothing in return. And the way that they categorize Ukraine is spending money and getting nothing in return.
Yeah, but that's kind of retarded.
Because you are getting national security and stuff like that.
Well, but and also if you, because it's like
Russia, whatever.
Yeah, but also if Russia takes over, then yeah, America gets nothing. But if Ukraine maintains itself and, U.S. gets a bunch of contracts in the future, then U.S. isn't going to do anything for free. Okay. Like they're going to get it back one way or the other. Right.
But if you told those people, you're like, listen,
they're not
we're spending a bunch of money in Ukraine, but Ukraine's going to be the 51st state. Then they might be like,
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Getting something for my money.
I don't think there's any bizarre pretzel bending logic that someone who's like, oh, I'm an isolationist, we need to be out of Ukraine, we need to not give Israel any money, would then turn around and be like, oh, we should invade Greenland or Canada or Panama. Okay. That person is just a fucking piece of shit hypocrite if that's their stance. There's no way to bend the pretzel.
Oh my God.
That's batshit crazy. Okay?
Look at Sitch. He's coming for you guys.
Well, no, it's not a real position. This is my thing. It's not a real, to be 100% clear, I don't think it's a real position. I don't think 99.9% of the people on Twitter reacting to this think it's real. They think it's just funny. They think it's just a troll and they're just trolling. Okay. That's what's going on. So don't make bullshit excuses about it. Anyways.
I just think it's funny. I want to buy Greenland. Come on.
It is funny. Damalus for 33 months. Thanks so much. Says the Ashley Babbitt argument in response to Sitch sounds like what BLM says about the cops. Hot take. They wouldn't care if she wore BLM instead of MAGA. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm like, what does that
right.
mean?
Yes, you're correct. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I don't even know. Oh, I guess it came up again because Trump made some comment about it or whatever, but we have the quad annual people going, bringing up Ashley Babbitt again, saying that the guy who shot her is a fucking criminal and she's a magical hero for, doing the dumbest fucking thing on the planet. And so, yeah, I made my post about it, and
Some people were saying that she was holding the crowd back, and I'm like, I mean, we watched the video.
right.
She was not holding the crowd back.
Well, there was a guy who I never seen this. I never seen this clip before. He claims you can see in the video, it looks like she like hits some guy in the face before she does what she's gonna do, before she crawls through the window. And so he's concocted this theory that, well, then she was trying to stop the guy from doing something bad. But it's like, okay, but she's crawling through the fuck. What was her plan? Is her plan to crawl through the barrier, go on the other side and say, everybody stop? Like, I don't know. That doesn't seem likely to me at all. So, but the whole thing
It's
is just
sad. It's sad. I don't
it's
want
just
to throw shade at Ashley Babbitt, but
I'm not trying to throw shade at her, but it's a classic, play super games, win super prizes. Because you have this situation. I mean, everyone's looking at it in retrospect. At the time of the situation, okay, people did not know who these people in the crowd were. They did not know if they were armed. They did not know if they had weapons or bombs or what the fuck their deal was. Like now we know, okay, these people were not armed, right? Or most of, like 99% of them were not armed. But at the time that this is going on, no one fucking knows what the fuck these people are trying to do. They don't know if Ashley Babbitt has a bomb in her fucking backpack and is going to run in and try to blow up the fucking House building and kill a bunch of government officials. And so when there's a literal barricade and the police are standing in front of it and then they have to flee because, and I don't know, I don't think most people have seen this video. There's like 3 or 4 cops in front of the barricade that she crawls through. And this guy comes over and he's literally like punching the glass next to the officer's face while screaming at the officer in this like hyper intimidating, threatening way. And he's breaking the glass behind the officer, like right in front of him. And it looks like the officers like are basically just peace out because they're like, oh my God. And they just kind of leave. And then that's when like the other armed, there's like much heavily armed police that are coming in at that time. I'm assuming what's was supposed to happen is they're going to like switch because these were like guys in like full riot gear and the guys who were standing in front of the door were just like not. They're just like in kind of normal cop clothes. And in that switch, in that intermittent, in that like there's like a span of like a minute or 2 minutes where they're switching, that's when Ashley Babbitt like crawls through the window and gets shot. And it's just like that guy that shot her is 100% in the right. He was protecting the House chambers. There was still government officials, House representatives in there that had not been evacuated yet. There's a fucking massive crowd of people. You don't know what the fuck these people are going to do, except that they're being incredibly violent and they've broken into the fucking Capitol. They're breaking past the police and trying to get these fucking people in a violent manner. And you're like, don't fucking come in here. And they come in here and then you get shot. It's like, okay. I mean, that's just classic play super games, win super prizes. And to me, it does seem like this like insane level of bias and cope around the situation, because if the politics were different, not a single fucking person, I guarantee you, not a single fucking person that is saying that this was wrong would agree. Like if this was Antifa breaking into the fucking Capitol because Donald Trump won the election, they'd be like, oh, just mow them all down. They wouldn't give a fuck about any of this shit. But because the politics are on their side, suddenly they're like, oh my God, how dare they?
Well, you incorporate a whole set of facts into your analysis that they contest. They have a completely different fact set. Like they would contest that the people broke into the Capitol. They were, in their minds, they were let in by the Capitol security. They were peacefully protesting. Like they have this whole set of different facts. So, and if those facts are in fact true, obviously they're contested, then it's a completely different situation. Then he did do the wrong thing. Like Ashley Babbitt is just an innocent woman who was let into the Capitol by Capitol Police.
That's like literally, but wait a minute. That's true. You can create a headcanon delusion, right? And this is exactly what people on the left
people are spreading that.
You're correct.
Like, but are people wrong because they have this different fact set that's out there in the wilderness infecting people's minds?
Yeah, they should try to fucking investigate and have some modicum of free will. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing. This is
oh my God.
No, because listen, this is exactly the same as the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Okay?
No, I agree. I totally agree.
You have like video that very clearly shows what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse, and people on the left who are biased against Kyle Rittenhouse because, they perceive him as being on the right and they perceive the people as being shot on the left. So the politics are not in their favor in that time. They just cannot perceive reality correctly. They will turn themselves into knots. They will look at information in a completely biased way. They'll believe, oh my God, Kyle Rittenhouse, someone said Kyle Rittenhouse pointed his gun at someone. Oh my God, Kyle Rittenhouse was, looking for a fight. Look, here's a video of him, like a week ago saying that he wished he had his gun when people were looting. See, like they're going to look for any fucking thing they can to try to justify what they want to be true. That's why I said Kyle Rittenhouse is the left-wing NPC test. And I'm starting to think that the Ashley Babbitt thing is like the right-wing NPC test because it's the same fucking situation.
Well, look,
like you're correct.
The Kyle Rittenhouse is a continuous video. Obviously, the Capitol riot is a completely different situation. Go ahead, continue.
Yes, but you're correct in terms of like the people who are defending her. They have this alternate set of facts, but it's like,
of course,
okay,
I'm just saying it. I'm just mentioning it. Like that's the problem.
Yeah, no, you are correct. And I'm saying, but it's the same thing with Kyle Rittenhouse. You can literally watch a video of right before it happens of people punching the fucking glass. I mean, we can even bring it up. Actually, we can't bring it up because the stream will get taken down because the video is like
incendiary,
persona non grata on YouTube. But you literally see the cop is standing there they've barricaded the fucking place. And a guy running up to the cop, and he's punching the fucking glass like a maniac next to his face. And they're screaming, get out of here, get out of here. Like we don't need to hurt you. Get out of here. Let us in, let us in. And you're like, oh, I don't know what these people's intentions are. We're supposed to just assume they're just going to go in and be fucking peaceful. Bullshit. That's psychotic. Fuck that. Hell no. You say you don't fucking cross this line, you fucking piece of shit. You're in here illegally. You can't fucking threaten government officials. And if you do, we're going to fucking shoot your ass. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. And I got fucking insanely livid when this was going on with the fucking Antifa piece of shit people that were attacking that fucking courtroom in Washington State. And remember, they're being, they didn't want to let the, Donald Trump send in the National Guard to fucking knocks those fucking people, fucking knock their teeth out and drag their ass to jail because they're trying to set the fucking courtroom on fire. And you can't have that position and agree with me there. And then suddenly say, oh, well, in this situation, because the politics are fucking different, suddenly it's all fine. Suddenly it's fine for my team to break into the fucking building against the law, attack people, break the fucking doors down, and try to and threaten or potentially threaten the lives of our government officials. That's psychotic.
Yeah, they didn't know what was going on at the time. We watched that video on, I think the week after it happened.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. We watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's on our channel. It's in our back category. Back catalog, rather.
And, I'm so glad we watched that video because we found out two things that were very interesting that I've never heard anyone else discuss on the topic. The first is that was when we found out that AOC concocted that like insane story that the reason that she didn't evacuate and the reason she was hiding in the closet and the reason she didn't evacuate was because she is so fucking psychotic that she thought the security guards who were trying to protect her were really secret MAGA people. And she thought the Republicans that were evacuating to the evacuation site would have like called the MAGA protesters in to like attack and rape her. Okay. And I'm like, this lady's like unhinged, right? So, and I've never heard anyone else fucking ever point this out, even though she fucking said it in like 2 different interviews. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, which I've never heard anyone else say, was that in that video that you and I watched, I forget the guy's name, that streamer who was actually not a MAGA guy. He was like a left-wing guy, pretending to be a MAGA guy, who's recorded it. And he got in trouble. I think he got, went to jail or something for some of this stuff for recording this because he kept saying, I have a knife, let me to the front. I have a knife.
I do. Yeah, that was the guy who was filming. Yeah.
Right.
The guy who was supposedly Antifa.
Yes.
That was right before he was saying that as Ashley Babbitt was like getting ready to go through
we're getting ready to go. Yeah. Right. And then because there's an element to this that's so like his video caught, which like no one ever fucking talks about, which is that after the original people broke through the line into the Capitol on January 6th, is that like they're like pouring in, and on some parts of the building, they're just literally bashing the windows in and going in. And there's one fucking place where the doors open and you see like there's a police there and they're like waving people in. And people say forever because there's this one place in the Capitol where this happened. I say, oh my God, they were letting people in. It was all a setup. It was all a setup. But if you watch the video that we watched, which is the main video that everyone gets, if you actually watch it contiguously, you'll see he even comments on it. The guy's filming it. What they were doing is once a bunch of people had already broken in and they couldn't stop them, they were trying to do this fucking Looney Tunes-esque maneuver where they were waving them into one entrance through the building and trying to get them to leave out the exit on the other side. And he said, oh shit, they're trying to like trick us. They're trying to like wave us through the building. And a bunch of people, like some people actually fell for it. And then some people got wise and they stopped doing that.
Right.
But because some dumb fuck security guard police officer made the decision to try to do this, forever the conspiracy is born that, oh my God, the January 6th, it was the inside job. They're planning it from the beginning. They let them in.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I don't know. It's the misinformation around all kinds of things is always frustrating.
Right.
I don't necessarily know how to deal with that problem. So, and once people, I mean, it is simple confirmation bias. A lot of times it's just whatever information the person encounters first. It's just like random. Like it's not even, the person is not even particularly political, but they just encounter narrative A before narrative B. So they're just going to die holding on to narrative A, no matter how true or false it is.
It's if whatever information they encounter first aligns with like what they want to be true, then it's over.
There is some of that, but there are a lot of people who are not particularly caught up in politics. Like they're not particularly like invested team wise. So they could encounter either narrative and really just be like, oh, this is a factual thing I'm seeing on my Facebook feed from my uncle.
Right. No, that's
like,
true. There's this weird
so
psychological
those are the people
thing.
I don't necessarily like. It's hard for me to go hard at those people when I just think the world is full of, you know, less than average people, like just by design.
Right.
So,
well, if those people are just minding their own business, I don't give a shit. But if they're coming at me on Twitter, fuck you. What the fuck you're talking about? Right. You know, if you're gonna come at someone for it, you better have you better know what the fuck you're talking about. You better
bring your receipts, right?
Right. These people don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But no, there's this really weird psychological thing that I noticed, which I mean, I noticed this, you know, going into school where like people learn a piece of information and they go and they tell someone and they kind of like, oh, I feel so good. I told you this thing. And if someone's like, no, that's not true. They're like, what? Like they get really angry. Like you feel it like on some emotional level, like someone just like shit in your fucking cornflakes that you learned something that you were like bragging about or telling someone about, and then they tell you that the information is fake. Like
it completely undercuts their status. Right. Look, this is why our campaigns in America get longer and longer and longer, because now the campaigns know these low information voters are completely gettable if you establish a narrative about whoever you're running against. So they want to be the first out there to concoct a narrative that is going to stick through confirmation bias to all these people who just are barely paying attention to politics.
Right.
So this is the problem of confirmation bias. It's weird because it does create a kind of stability to society. I don't know which society would be more dangerous, one where people cling to facts that are not true, or one where they just willy-nilly completely change their minds all the time on everything. Like, would we be able to get anything done? Would people be able to take a stand on anything? I don't know. It's fucking, life is weird. Life is ultimately weird. But look, I try to hold off on judgment, hopefully as long as possible, so I just don't have to think about it too much. I got a lot of shit going on in my life, so yeah. But look, the January 6th stuff, I mean, it gets under people's skin, and I understand why. Because it's uncomfortable for people.
I don't. Yeah, but like, fuck those people. Listen,
okay.
Why do you and I have to feel uncomfortable? Okay, being like, here's how.
Look, I don't feel uncomfortable.
No.
I'm talking about.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not
being uncomfortable. Yeah,
I'm saying how is it that you and I had to feel uncomfortable that we were part of the left for our entire fucking lives, And then we say,
I'm
oh my
still
God.
part of the left. I'm a leftist, Sitch. I
you
don't know
go.
what the fuck you're talking
So
about.
Adam's still on the left.
I
He's still
believe
part
in
of
the middle
left.
class.
Okay.
I want to
He's still in the left, right?
Yes.
Now I'm an independent. Adam's still on the left. How's it
These
that
elitist scumbags, I want to fucking round them up. And
how is it that Adam, who's still on the left, me that's now independent, but has spent most of his life on the left, okay? I've been on the left, and yet we spent so much time, which is not fucking comfortable, saying, oh my God, our worldview is totally fucking wrong. We have to change, the way that we look at the world. We have to be very critical of our own team. We have to look at everything with a fucking fine-tooth comb and a magnifying glass, blah, 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 blah. And then someone else is going to get fucking mad at you and I'm supposed to feel bad for them because they're not willing to do the same
you're
fucking
asking
thing.
them to do the same thing. Yeah. You're
Yeah,
basically
like,
saying,
no, listen.
look at your
like,
side with some criticality.
Exactly.
I don't think that's a word, but you understand.
I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah. Look, I mean, this is what's so interesting about like the Anna Kasparian thing, because like we're kind of witnessing her going through that same realization that my side is a bunch of fucking liars. Like,
exactly.
Fucking lying about like even look, I liked Bernie Sanders. I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary, but this fucking climate change thing is just like unhinged. You're fucking doing tangible damage to society, and I don't care what fucking team you're on. So
that was our original fucking slogan, was be a neo, not a cipher.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it was like so
get
many
out of the
people,
matrix.
Yeah, they get out of the matrix and they go, oh, this sucks. And they go right back into it, right? They just join the other team. They just become fucking head for the other
back
side.
in the opposite matrix.
Right. It's like, please God, no, just be a neo.
Right.
So I understand what you're saying, but I'm not going to be sympathetic to it. Okay.
Well, you don't have to be, but I just this is why when I'm a bleeding heart. That's just as a leftist in me. It really is.
This is why you're still on the
I'm
left.
a fucking bleeding heart.
This is why you're
Dude,
still on the left. Yes.
Look, I have so many people in my life. I have so many people I've been friends with that are just not very bright.
Mm-hmm.
Do dumb shit. They just want to fucking work a job and surf on the weekends. Like I feel bad for those people. Like they're not brainiacs. Okay. I think we need to structure society so people who do want to get a fucking dumb job and go surfing on the weekends can be successful. Like they don't have to get caught up in all this fucking nonsense. So,
right.
And I don't know much about Ashley Babbitt. So I don't know if she's one of these fucking dingbats who just believes stupid shit on the internet and ended up costing her life. But I mean, she's got a family and shit.
The only person who's at fault for Ashley Babbitt dying is Donald Trump. He killed her with his fucking bullshit lies. And, people are never going to accept that. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's true. If Donald Trump hadn't lied and hadn't been doing all this bullshit elector scheme, she never would have been there.
Well, hopefully someday we get a DOJ that actually goes after Donald Trump for Ashley Babbitt's murder.
There you go. Kash Patel is going to arrest Donald Trump for Ashley Babbitt's murder. Like, I investigated the FBI and I found out the deep state was correct. Donald Trump is responsible for killing Ashley Babbitt. Yeah.
Oh man, I can feel. I can feel all the comments after this live stream just completely attacking Sitch for all this.
Go for it. Go be as NPC brained as any fucking dumb fuck wants to be. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You were 100% objectively wrong on all that shit. Like so fucking wrong. And they all know. Anyone who's like that, they all know that if it was Antifa, they would be so like, oh my God, there should have been more people that were shot. They would not be making any.
Well, it's Antifa. I mean, you agree with that, right?
They only make these cope fucking. If it was Antifa, yes, they only make these cope fucking excuses because the politics is different. And if that's your view, then you're lost. Okay, then you're not viewing the situation objectively.
But you do agree that Kamala Harris was totally cringe with her little speech about fucking.
Yes, she was.
Oh my God.
It was pretty cringe.
Peaceful transfer of power. Aren't I so great? The woman who just spent $1.5 billion of her donors' money, like just wasted on celebrity endorsements.
Ace for $5 says, how dumb and morally bankrupt was Boner Box's take on the grooming gangs during the Connor Dev debate?
Oh
God. It was
Boner Box that's priceless.
Boner Box. Yeah. I haven't watched a lot of Loner Box content, so I don't really have like a
Boner
mental
Box, please. We have a new nickname.
Boner Box. I don't have a lot of I don't have like a mental map of his stuff, and it's weird because like so his basically his whole his argument in that conversation was just that it's not a specific issue to Muslims or Pakistani gangs. It's just that the UK sucks at prosecuting sexual violence or sexual gangs or grooming gangs or rape gangs or whatever. I don't know the fucking fact claims of any of that shit, so I don't even know if that's fucking true. So whatever. But I mean,
But Sitch, they
his
don't want to be
attitude,
called racists.
his attitude about it, and I think this is really his way of handling the conversation was really off-putting to probably Ace and a lot of other people. And it's funny because Connor actually completely voiced it, which is like, how are you not infuriated by like even if what you're saying is Connor even said at one point, he's like, even if what you're saying is true, who I know you love Connor so much. Even if what you're saying is true and it's just England just sucks at prosecuting crimes, how are you not like enraged by this whole situation? Because that's the thing. If you look at like that grooming gang situation, regardless of whether it's because England is just so fucking insanely woke or because they just suck at prosecuting rape crimes, I look at that situation. I'm like, this is like a failed country. Like if you can't get this right, you fail as a fucking country. So I don't know like how anyone's not enraged by that situation, especially if they fucking live in that country. It's unhinged.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Look,
like,
this
I
is
couldn't
the biggest
stand it.
this is the biggest problem with the far left nut jobs is that you can't even have a reasonable conversation about crime, sexual assault, immigration. Like you can't have that conversation if any sort of someone who you could call quote unquote a marginalized person is involved.
Right.
So they've completely destroyed our ability to have any sort of reasonable discussion about this, which is one of the reasons why I fucking hate their guts. So
And I do believe, and this is where I did not buy his argument, which is that if the situation was swapped, okay, if there are a bunch of like white,
he'd be fucking throw him in jail.
right? If there are a bunch of white British men who had been raping Pakistani or some sort of immigrant women in that fashion, and they got some slap on the wrist prison sentence for their actions. I mean, you would hear like the media would have lost their mind. It would have been a fucking world event. There would have been BLM level riots in fucking England for like a year until those people were like hung. So, I mean, that is where the bullshit of, I think the argument really breaks down for me.
Yeah, it is racism. It's like marginalized people are above the law. They can do whatever they
Right.
want. What are you doing?
Right.
Why are you even bringing this up? These people are above the law. Fucking disgusting.
Electro for $20 says, for $20 says, I'm not a fan of Trump, but I still have problems with Dev. It's hard to explain. In a super chat, I have 4 things. 2 of them have to do with the guy who died at the Trump rally. One of them has to deal with the backlash of Hogwarts legacy and his take on a VTuber. And the last one has to deal with him taking some of the context out in a terrible way. Oh, cool. Okay. I mean, I don't really know anything about Hogwarts legacy or the VTuber takes, but
Yeah.
Ryan Wolf for $10 says, Dev says if you're a pedo in his servers, as long as you don't post stuff and do it elsewhere, he's fine with them being there. I think the common take would be to disassociate from them completely.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
I agree with that. I'm not gonna castigate him forever for that, but I would agree you should probably kick all the pedos out of your community immediately.
Out of your Discord.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if it's not because it's morally reprehensible, disgusting, that should be your take, is just for your own self for your own
and the safety of your fucking community. Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a bad.
Oh my God.
It's a bad take.
It's insane.
RBGH fan for $5 says fake slates of electors should have been investigated. January 6th was largely an op with a couple thousand idiots LARPing. I mean, I think it was mostly. It depends what you mean by an op. There's like this weird narrative that like, oh my God, this report proved that the FBI did January 6th. And then I was like, really? And then I read the report and it literally says the opposite of that. So it's one of those things of people just not reading the thing that they're citing like ever. Right. And people were actually saying that on my Twitter thread. I was like, oh, okay. So you're just full of shit. But I mean, it was an op in terms of, or it was a LARP in terms of, I agree. It was a bunch of literal retards LARPing who had no way of evincing the political change they wanted. That's why I never believed the whole like Donald Trump wanted January 6th to happen. He did it intentionally. Like, I don't believe that. That's like a level of retardation that makes absolutely no fucking sense to me. But You know,
Yeah, he didn't want that.
why would he want that?
Yeah, it's insane. He wanted Bill Barr to arrest Mike Pence.
Right. Solid for 2 hours says on James Gunn saying battered Superman represents America. I read the full quote and Sitch's interpretation 100% right. As a liberal as he is, he's basically saying there's very fine people on both sides. Well, look at that. Look at that.
Really? James Gunn is saying there's fine people on both sides?
Yes.
Wow.
for James Gunn. Solid for $2 says I think the reason there's so many soups in the movie is that most of them are either in it for the money or they're a-holes. A member of the authority is in this. Then Superman comes in and shows them how it's done. Oh. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you
When
gotta.
does this movie come out?
I don't know. I think
Yeah,
you just
I'll look it
gotta
up.
have listen. They just have to stop doing this. They did the same thing with fucking that stupid. What was the Rock Shazam movie? Black Adam movie. They did the same thing with the Black Adam movie. It's just like, you gotta have at least the first movie be about the fucking person. Okay. At least, please. Unless it's Batman, because we have enough Batman movies. We don't. I do not believe we have a good Superman movie at all. I don't think that a good live action Superman movie exists yet.
July 11th, 2025 is when it's released. So we'll go see it. We'll check it out.
I would like just a good live action Superman movie first and foremost to just establish that they can fucking do a live action Superman movie that's not cringe. Let's just get that under our belts, and then they can throw in as many billion fucking people as they want after that.
Your mom's name is Martha.
Oh God.
Martha.
Martha.
My mom's name is Martha.
Zack Snyder's Superman movies were bad. The one before that one was boring and bad with Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. The old ones are fucking
Oh my God.
awful. Holy shit. Like, it's just, God.
I mean, that's a lot of people will say that's sacrilege because of
Those people have seen the movie when they're children. They have
I
not
know.
watched them again. Okay.
if you
I
watch
never
it
saw-
again, all the special effects
Yes.
are just so fucking cringe.
I never saw the movie as a child, and I saw it like last year for the first time, and I was like, this movie is terrible. What the fuck? It's not even just that. Like, listen,
Oh,
there's
it's
one
bad? It doesn't hold
there's-
up as far as story goes?
there's one element of the old Superman movies that I like a lot. There's only one element, and it's that I like I like Clark Kent being like a bumbling, klutzy loser to like make it so that no one would suspect him of Superman. I like that. It's funny. I like that dichotomy between him and Superman, which a lot of modern Superman has kind of dismissed with. But the rest of the movie is awful. There's singing in that movie. There's musical fucking numbers in that movie, Adam.
Mm-hmm. In Superman?
In Superman. Yes.
I just remember that Superman is like a peeping Tom. Like,
yes, he's using his X-ray vision to look at Lois Lane's underwear.
Panties. Yes.
Yes. And she's like turned on by it. I was like, oh God. It's gonna have the
Okay,
red
where's
pillars
the
all in it.
meme? Yeah, where's the meme where it's
And
like
then-
human resources? It's
Right,
like,
right. Exactly. Yes, exactly.
like Clark does that and she's like, human resources.
Yeah, exactly. Superman does it. Oh, Clark does it. Oh God. But they do this weird thing. I don't know why they do this. In the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeves. By the way, I have nothing against Christopher Reeves. He's a cool guy. Okay. The movies are just bad.
Even post-accident?
Even post-accident. He was a very fine, upstanding person. And he tried to help people. Okay. Nothing bad against him as an individual. They would do this weird thing. I don't know why, but whenever Superman would use his super strength to pick something up, he always picked it up in a way that physically made no sense. Okay. So like right in the beginning of the movie, there's a helicopter that's going to fall or that's falling. So you'd think, okay, you're Superman. If helicopter is falling, like, wouldn't you want to like go underneath it and just like try to pick it up like from beneath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he like grabs it like from the side, like he's holding a fucking coffee mug and just like lifts it up. Like he's holding the little, like, the little landing thing, but like from the side, like you're holding a coffee cup and he just like lifts it up and puts it down. And you're like, okay, that helicopter would just snap in half, like the way he's holding it. Like you can't just hold this giant heavy thing on this like tiny little piece of metal. Like I don't think like how does his super strength work? How is he holding this up? And they do the same thing. Like there's a scene where he's flying with Lois Lane and he's like literally holding her up by like her wrist. And then she like spreads out like spread eagle, like she's flying. I'm like, what the fuck is Lois Lane like have superpowers? She's so strong she can lift her entire body up by her wrist. Like, how the fuck is her wrist not snapping in half here? What the fuck am I looking at?
It's the superpower magic flows through Superman and into Lois Lane so that she becomes basically an alien.
That's never explained in the movie.
Okay. No, I'm just obviously.
It's like there's that scene in The Boys where fucking what's his name? The Homelander's like and he kills the terrorist and he blows up the fucking cockpit so they can't land the plane. And she's like, "Oh, can you just fly under it?" And he's like, "No." Like, what do you mean? I'll just go right through the fucking plane. I can't carry it, right? And they like in the old Superman movie, they took that idea like in the inverse direction to such an extreme. It's so distracting. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
I know in later Superman
kind of distractions.
I know in later Superman comics, they're like Superman has magic telekinesis, invisible force fields that go around things that he touches. Fine, but they did not establish that in the movie. And also in that scene where he's like flying with Lois Lane, she's like they have like this like weird singing musical where she's like, "Can you read my mind, Superman, and know how hot I am for you? Can't you read my mind?" And I'm like, what is this? What am I watching?
What's your take on these Kong versus Godzilla movies with like the Hollow Earth?
I mean, they're whatever. We watched the first one.
Did you?
I remember we talked about it. We did a review of it, I think.
Did we?
I think so.
I can't watch these Hollow Earth movies. I'm just like, this is fucking such bullshit. There's literally every time the sun is shining on Kong, I'm like, how's that fucking happening? What sun is in the middle of the fucking earth?
It's the lava, Adam. Okay, obviously.
It's like Kong is waking up deep in the center of the hollow earth.
Right.
Sun glistening up. It's like, what?
They don't explain it?
Fuck. No, it's never explained. It's just complete and utter bullshit.
Interesting.
I'm like, what the fuck?
That movie should have been like the one that we saw. The one I saw it was the first one. It was Kong versus Godzilla with the Mecha Godzilla at the end. It should have been like fun. I don't know. It's mostly boring and stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to watch Godzilla and Kong punch each other. Like, I don't need all this like complicated storyline bullshit. Okay.
Right. Everybody understands physics a lot more now, so you can't get away with shit like that in movies. It's too distracting. It's too fucking distracting.
Salford Jar says, "What do you think of the fact that many January 6th defendants have been in jail for 4 years without trial? Roger Avery, the co-writer of Pulp Fiction, told Rogan he has a friend who's a defendant that hasn't had his trial yet." I mean, I think that's totally batshit crazy. I don't know why that's going on. So
horrible, horrendous.
I don't support any of that. Obviously, everyone has a right to a trial.
Yeah. Well, they want to make examples out of all of them, so
right,
it would never happen again. There's a bit of that. You guys are the little people, and we're big, important Congress people.
Well, I think the people that did like violence, people that like attacked police officers, people that broke in, like, yeah, throw the book at those people. They deserve a trial, but throw the fucking book at those people. You don't want people to do that again. I'm fine with making an example of that, as long as it's the right people that are being made examples of. I don't think that if a person, even though I think what they did was like, they should definitely get fined and they should be on their fucking, I think it's not, I think it was a bigger deal than people make it. But if someone, walked in behind the crowd, looked around, took pictures, and then walked out, I don't think that person should go to jail for that.
Right. Yeah.
But I do think they should be fined for that.
Well, good. That's a sensible position.
I'm a very sensible person. Okay.
You strike me, especially when
you're welcome.
Especially when you're raging out.
4 years in solitary without trial, and Sitch is fine with that. I'm sorry, are you retarded? I literally
he didn't
just
say that.
I'm
Holy shit. Oh, God. What the fucking... God. How is that? Look, nice straw man.
I know.
Can you give us another straw man? All caps, please.
In all caps. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, these are peak NPC, shit brain.
No,
People,
don't
so,
look. Come on,
know.
no, we don't chase them off. We want people to argue with. My dream is that our chat is like 50% left wing, 50% right wing, and everybody just completely goes at one another all day.
Right.
Yeah. Come on, people like to argue on the internet. At least this is a safe place for people to argue. A safe space for you to argue on the internet.
Well, see,
Where
but that's
no
what's
one
so.
will judge. Well,
This
Sitch
is
is
how
going
you
to judge
know.
you, but I won't
This
judge you.
this is how you know that the person you're talking to is a dishonest piece of shit and has no argument. This happens more than anything I've ever seen on the internet about any argument. You argue about something, and then the person that's taught like responding to you, they start responding with a bunch of things you've never said, don't believe. They're not responding to anything you said whatsoever. So it's like, for example, I'm like, have this, talk about the Ashley Babbitt thing and people lying about January 6th, all this other stuff. Like, so I guess you're fine with someone being in jail for 4 years in solitary confinement on trial. I'm like,
No.
what? Who the fuck
that's
ever said
insane.
that? Are you retarded? So that's just like, if someone does that to you, that's how you know that person is just like a scumbag and a liar and totally like an NPC. Because they just have like a programmed response that they just go to and they can't actually deviate from their algorithm.
Ostracy makes a really good point here for $5. He says, "Why are you okay with it, Sitch?" Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, it's just like. Also, you said 4 years. I'm looking up the article. This article says.
Oh no! Look,
it says 4 months. It says 4 years. So
4 years.
I'm still not in favor of, but like, you need to fucking get you're fucking freaking out and you're even lying. You don't even know what you're fucking talking about. So. Okay. But that's the case. Almost all these people that like they get fucking unhinged on you, and I look up what they're saying, and it's just like a lie on top of it too.
Oh yeah, are you using the thing? You can use the thing where you're like, you can get the whole person's activity.
Oh, I'm not even looking at.
You should do that.
Look at that.
Click on that.
Sitch, you're okay with feds creating a political narrative for one party. I get it. That's what I said. That's exactly what I said.
Like,
okay.
You're missing all of these gems.
I know. So retarded. See, again, this is how you know these people are just NPCs. They're bad faith shitheads.
That's not the way. That's not the way to red pill them, as people say, right? That's not the way to.
Yeah, they're not going to be red pilled.
Them.
Listen. No,
look, it's a challenge, just like Mount Everest.
They're not going to be red pilled. I don't give a fuck.
You're just giving up.
Fuck those people.
This is America, Sitch.
Okay.
We leave no man behind. Okay.
You can be in favor.
People living in their ideological echo chamber are not safe. Okay. We are search and rescue. Okay. We are here with a mission to free these people from their ideological shackles. Okay. Join me on this mission. You know what? It all just begins. Just a little bit of niceness. Just a little niceness.
Okay.
You just got to say, listen, I know you're fond of the all caps, okay? But maybe just dial it back just a tad, okay? You're welcome here. We like criticism, okay? Just chillax. Anyway. Yeah. But don't straw man Sitch, okay? Don't straw man me either. Don't straw man anyone. Look, when you straw man on the internet, a puppy dies. Okay.
There you go.
Do you wanna be a puppy killer? Most people don't. Look, I did see this thing.
Thank you, Program.
I want to bring this tweet up. Less incendiary than fucking who's that bastard that I was calling out a second ago? Can't even remember. Bernie Sanders. This is folks. Okay, so friend of the show, Anna Kasparian says, "Thank you to everyone who has reached out. We're safe. We lost power last night and new fire started close to where we live. packed up irreplaceable items and left to stay with family. Won't be hosting TYT today, but we will still have a show. So fucking stay safe, Anna. Jeez, I had no idea. Like I'm lucky I'm not close to any of these fires there. So I'm experiencing the winds, and we did lose power for I think an hour or an hour and a half last night, but it came on quicker than expected. But it sounds like Anna's actually close to some of the fires. So
That's awful.
as they say, stay safe. Thoughts and I think Anna and I are both atheists, but look, if you want to throw if you want to throw a prayer Anna's way, I'm not opposed to it. So
True.
yeah, a lot of people. Well, hopefully the winds are supposed to die down at 6 p.m. today. So, and obviously I'm streaming now, so I don't know what kind of horror show is going on
6 p.m. your time
right now. Yeah,
Oh, geez,
6 p.m. my
that's
time.
bad.
So we got about 3 hours left.
Right.
And I think some of the fires are 0% contained. So, oh man, I hope Anna's house didn't burn down. Oh,
I know. Jeez.
fucking sucks. But anyway,
Let's see. Ace for 1 month says, I'm not shocked Boner Box had that take. He thinks people like Sam Harris and you guys are right wing. Christ. Yeah. Well,
he thinks, oh man.
Yeah.
Does he really? He thinks we're right wing? Huh.
Yeah, he made some comment about it, I think. He's
Oh,
on
he
that
did?
show with, the other retards. So.
Oh. Well, I mean, probably because we call him Boner Box.
I'm just calling listen, I'm just reading what the super chat says.
Right.
Okay? I didn't make up the name.
Well, I do think Boner Box is kind of
It is a funny name. Okay,
Yes,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna say it's not. So
I mean, Loser Box, I think, would probably sting harder than Boner Box. So, but anyway.
Pepe Lag for $20. Thanks so much. Says, will you ever have Shoe on Head on again? I know she's sometimes in the chat. I think she's uniquely politically entertaining. Of course. The door is always open for her to come on. Yeah.
Look, yesterday I was actually looking for her Twitter so I could send her a DM. Like, she's welcome to come in anytime. I know she's got like a new baby and stuff.
Right.
So I don't know if she can or if she even wants to, but look, if she wants to come on, she's always welcome.
Yeah. She's
we love to
really
get her
welcome.
take.
But
And she can come on like we're wrapping up now. She can come on like 5 minutes before we leave and just say hi. So she doesn't have to hang out all day.
right, but I get it. So obviously a lot of people just want to listen. They don't want to.
People want us
Be
to come
on
on all the time, and like the last thing we really want to do is like jump in on someone else's live
Right,
stream,
exactly.
So.
Yeah.
So I understand the
I get it, too.
perspective. Yeah.
I'll reply and then someone's chatting. They're like, you should go on. I'm like, I don't really want to go on.
Yeah. That sounds great. Maybe let's think about that for a while.
Right. Yeah.
We probably should do more shows with other people, but
right.
We need to get Wick back on, because I think Wick is an interesting character. I guess the Vanguard Cucks aren't going to come on anymore. They're like too big now. I seen them streaming to like 3,000 brain dead leftists. So
wow. As long as they're attacking, the Young Turks.
As long as they're attacking the Young Turks, they get a big following. So
right. Yes, Wick is very based and amazing.
Yeah.
Bruins for 2 Canadians says, save us! I'm going to look down. I'm going to whisper. No.
Terrible.
There you go. There's your Rorschach for the day.
That was good. I liked it.
Ryan Wolf
I'm
for
more
$5.
a fan of the comedian, just, a superhero.
I'm going to go full Rorschach, okay? The Nazi, the right-wing Nazi, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the people on the left like this categorize him as. Ryan
now,
Wolf
the
for $5
comedian's
says,
not a rapist, right? I mean,
he is a rapist.
Is it? I mean, it's kind of in this like gray area, isn't it?
I do not think it's in a gray area.
I thought she let him off the hook. I thought she was like,
she did because he attempted to rape her, was stopped, and then they apparently had sex that maybe was consensual later.
Right.
So I mean, he's at least an attempted rapist. We'll give.
But doesn't that immediately put it into like the gray zone?
Well, he did also murder a woman that was carrying his child.
Yeah, but that was consensual. I mean, the murder wasn't consensual,
The murder wasn't consensual.
but the sex was.
Yes, the sex was consensual. The murder of the woman and his unborn child was not consensual. Yeah.
Look, and people think Homelander is like all fucking all crazy and new, right?
No.
All
no.
original. Everyone thinks Homelander is like the totally original.
Well,
take.
yeah, I mean he's crazy in a different way than the comedian was crazy. Comedian wasn't really crazy. Comedian was just like a fucking piece of shit. Like I don't think he's crazy. You're just a fucking asshole.
Right.
You're just like a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything he did seemed
but he's a
pretty
superhero.
logically like evil. Like he wasn't like just unhinged.
Right.
Yeah.
I like how the comedian immediately puts it on Dr. Manhattan, though. It's actually your fault because you could have stopped me.
Well, he's not. The thing is, he's not entirely incorrect. He's like, you could have stopped anything.
I know.
He's like, what are you mad about? You could have stopped this. You just fucking stood there, you piece of shit. Dr. Manhattan's like, whatever. I'm gonna watch my future wife bang this other guy in the cock chair.
Right.
Go in the future now.
Oh man. What's up with these Watchmen superheroes?
I know, right? I mean, the whole thing about Watchmen is supposed to be showing out superheroes.
I
Ryan
know.
Wolf for $5 says you guys should at least watch Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1. Yeah, everyone says those are good.
I have
Everyone
seen
says they're
Godzilla -1, saw it in the movie theater, thought it was fantastic, obviously. I mean, it's a
Right.
great movie. Yeah.
Anyways,
Godzilla -1, I think, is on Netflix now if you want to check it out. If you haven't seen it already. Already?
That's it. Thank you all for commenting. Thank you all for incredibly generous donations.
We don't do that.
And we'll see
What are you
you
talking?
tomorrow, probably.
Well, books are on the way too. If you want to back our campaign, link is in the description. Soon, you will see a bunch of stacks and stacks and stacks of comic books behind me. So you will officially know your comic book is on the way. This was great. Obviously, a lot of fun. Learned a lot of stuff. Can't wait to read your comments, and that's it, I guess.
Later.
Bye.
Jeez, I hope Anna's. I didn't know that about Anna's house. That's crazy.
Yeah, I did.